following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. When you think of Louisiana, these are the images. Homespun Cajun music, witches' moss, the bayou, gators, and the annual free-for-all that's made New Orleans world famous, the Mardi Gras. But also out of the hard-baked Southern clay have sprung football legends, quarterbacks who ruled the pro game, football icons who honed their skills in local high schools. Bradshaw is immortalized in Louisiana, so is Ferguson, who preceded Bradshaw, leading his teams through the 70s. Then there's a Southern-schooled quarterback who made his name in Canada. Matt Dunnigan broke records and was famous here long before Canadian fans called him their own. The face may have aged from his days at Louisiana Tech, but Dunnigan is still part of Southern football culture. Here on the fields of Shreveport, another legend endures. Forrest Gregg is about as big as legends get here. It may take a legendary effort for him to turn the Shreveport Pirates around. While up north, Cal Murphy has fashioned his own football legend. Today, North meets South.
Shreveport, Louisiana flows the Red River, and that rings familiar to viewers in Winnipeg, but it's not the same river. In fact, these two flow in opposite directions, as do the two teams in today's game. Shreveport, a city of 300,000, is home to the Pirates, whose next win will be their first, and they face enormous odds today against the CFL powerhouse in the Bombers. Independence Stadium is on the outskirts of the city. 15 to 17,000 faithful have been showing up for Pirates games. Prevailing opinion is, though, that if the Pirates were winning it all, there'd be 25,000 fans here. Welcome now to Shreveport, Louisiana, where it hadn't rained for 6 weeks until it moved in last night. It's held up now just before kickoff, and the saving grace of these damp conditions is the temperature. It's nicely into the 20s today. Bombers chartered here late last night, and you may be wondering exactly where they journeyed. A few thousand kilometers to the deep south sits Shreveport in the northwest corner of Louisiana. It's not far from Arkansas and closer to Texas than anywhere else. It's only a 3-hour drive due west to Dallas. The area is called Arklatex, and it's the heartland of Southern football. In fact, the Bombers have their share of pro players produced by this area. Starting quarterback Keithan McCant was a high school star in Dallas. He'll have a contingent here today, as will defensive back Bobby Evans. He's from 80 kilometers north of Shreveport, and his mother will see her son play professionally for the first time today. But let us make the point, this is more than a social event. It's a football game, and one that makes the Bombers nervous. The Pirates are starting Mike Johnson at quarterback. He's got a strong arm and some CFL experience with BC. In the booth at Independence Stadium today to describe the proceedings in our first telecast from Shreveport are Don Whitman and Dan Kepley. Don, David slew Goliath, and Buster Douglas beat Mike Tyson, and so now I'll leave it to you to try and sell this game.
Well, Scott, even though the Bombers won 39-21 last week, I think the big task of Cal Murphy all week has been convincing his players not to take this team for granted. And Dan, both you and Cal can relate to something similar in 1981 in the Grey Cup game in Montreal. The Eskimos 14-1-1 against the 5-11 Ottawa Rough Riders.
And it's a perfect example of taking the team too lightly going in. And we were fortunate that we only took them lightly for 30 minutes, able to come back and win that game 26-23. But in this league up here, if you take anybody too lightly or unexpectedly, then all of a sudden you can come up and get snake bitten.
Cal has said that he has told his players and reminded them this team is going to win a football game one of these days. Let us not be the trivia question as the first team in the CFL to lose to the Shreveport Pirates. On the other side of the field, Forrest Gregg wishes he had the same collection of athletes from the start of the season. He feels that he's slowly building his own type of people in the Shreveport organization.
And that is slowly building. They've gone through about 100 players already so far this year, but now it takes some time to incorporate your philosophy, your thinking, your system into this, and now finally Forrest Gregg feels comfortably that he's starting to get something that is a vague resemblance of a decent football team.
He has had a lot of different starting quarterbacks today. With Mike Johnson at the controls, it will be the 6th time that a different quarterback has started a football game for Shreveport. Right now, let's get down to field level, and here's Scott.
All right, Don, the Bombers don't want to become the first team to lose to Shreveport. You've made that point, but they also don't want to fall behind Baltimore. The CFLers beat Las Vegas in Baltimore last night, so Baltimore sports a 10-4 record now, and Winnipeg needs a win today to equal that. The Pirates are the only pro show in Shreveport, but they're not the only tenant at Independence Stadium. They play the Independence Bowl here every New Year's Day, and high school football is big here. You can see the American field marked out and contained within the CFL playing surface. The latter, of course, 11.5 yards wider and 10 yards longer with deeper end zones. Sidelines are awfully sloppy after the rain here. The CFL yard lines are marked in white. So this, I guess, is the most graphic example we've had in some time as to why the CFL has a more wide open game. And are we going to be treated to one today? We're about to find out. Here again are Don and Dan.
Well, Scott, the closest that the Shreveport Pirates came to winning a football game this year was in only their second start of the season on July 16th. They lost 35-34 to the Toronto Argonauts, and that is the most points Shreveport has scored in a game this season. 22 degrees the temperature. It rained all night. Shreveport has won the toss and has deferred until the second half. So Winnipeg has opted to take the south end of Independence Stadium, a facility that seats about 40,000 people and is a very busy stadium. High school games are played here on a regular basis. Last night, as a matter of fact, in a downpour, a high school football game was played here. A game was also played on Thursday at this same stadium. Troy Westwood prepares to kick off for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. The Bombers trying to move back into a first-place tie in the CFL East with Baltimore. Baltimore 22-16 over Las Vegas last night. Benjamin waits for the ball at the 10-yard line. Shreveport trying to set up the return up the middle, and Benjamin breaks the tackle. There's a penalty flag back at the 25-yard line. Benjamin going to the outside, and he's taken down out of bounds. Way down at the 26-yard line, but there is a penalty flag back at the 25, and it looks as though it's going to go against Shreveport.
Outside linebacker Mario Perry, it looks like was holding for an illegal block or holding on that call, and it'll bring that big play back.
So that negates what would have been a 72-yard return by Benjamin.
This is also just the opening play here. We talked about Cal Murphy in the opening of getting this team prepared. Those are the kind of things that you cannot let happen to a team when you're expected to beat them and shut them down.
Dave Ewell is the referee for this football game. So with the penalty, the return is listed as a 14-yard run back for Ryan Benjamin. The first start of the year for Mike Johnson in 1992. CFL fans might recall that he was with the BC Lions. Late in the season, he had 3 starting assignments with the BC Lions that year. Johnson drops straight back, finds David Lucas, and Lucas gets up to the 21-yard line, and there's a penalty flag in the play.
Good quick strong throw there, and he's going to get another 15 yards, probably tacked onto it because of a face mask penalty.
Lawrence Hatch, playing just his second game as the Winnipeg cornerback, is charged with the face mask violation. Here it is as he reaches out with the right hand and grips the mask of Lucas, and that moves the ball up to the 36-yard line. Hatch last week against Shreveport had a couple of interceptions. Johnson to Thompson. Thompson trying to stay in bounds. He succeeds and then is drilled out of bounds at the 42 by Reggie Gibbons.
A couple of good play selections right by the young quarterback to come up with. Quick throws, quick counts.
This is the Shreveport offensive lineup. The first starting assignment for Johnson after coming on in relief of Robert Cobb last week in a 39-21 loss. First and 10, the ball is at the 43. Hadnot trying to go up the middle, and he was caught immediately. Kelly Rush was in on the stop along with Del Lyles. And Winnipeg has added Reggie Givens to their defensive set. Givens is a player that Cal Murphy has been taking a look at for about a month now, and is quite interested to see just how he will perform in a game. He feels he has a lot of mobility and has somewhat deceptive speed. Canner's third down kick. Boyko lets it roll into the end zone, and he is going to trap Brooks inside the 5-yard area, and this is where Shreveport has been having a really difficult time this year. Mistakes on special teams. There was absolutely no need for Brooks to come into that 5-yard area, as Boyko was willing to concede a single point on the booming 74-yard kick by Canner. But instead, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will get the football out at the 25-yard line.
Just a total loss of concentration that time on Brooks. He's trying to bust himself down to get down there to cover the punt, and then all of a sudden just goes after it and he gets back into American football again.
The penalty is declined. Single point stands. First down.
The Bombers declined the penalty, looking for improved field position at the 35, so it goes into the books as a single point, a 74-yard punt for Aaron Canner. Keithan McCant, the starting quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. This is the 6th consecutive game that McCant has started at quarterback. His first game was in relief of the injured Sammy Garza. It's a pickup of 5 for Winnipeg. It will be 2nd and 5. Plays Bryant, the ball carrier on the previous play. Ethan McCant dumps it off to Nathaniel Bolton, and he'll provide Winnipeg with a first down, taking the ball up to the 52-yard line.
One thing this solid offensive line did that time, as they have done through the course of this whole season, is provide a lot of time for whatever quarterback lines up behind him. And Keithan McCant stood in the pocket, had plenty of time to wait for Bolton to clear the zone, and then just hit him very easily with a first down pass.
Veteran Chris Walby playing in his 212th CFL game today. Twice a CFL most valuable lineman. McCant trying to drop back and set up on the slippery field. Slips at the 41-yard line. Savage was there to pin him. Winnipeg offensively, Nathaniel Bolton is in the lineup, replacing Alfred Jackson. That's the major change the Blue Bombers have made offensively. There was some concern that Blaze Bryant might not be ready to go in this game, and had he not been able to play, Keith Woodside would have probably dressed in his place. Bolton has caught the only pass for Winnipeg thus far in the game, and he lines up wide to the right. McCant fakes an inside handoff. The Bombers want McCant to run the football a little more, but I think they would have preferred he went wide on that play rather than cut back inside. There is a late penalty flag as McCant is brought down as he got up to the 47-yard line.
A couple of things you have to be if you're Shreveport. One, you're 0-13 coming in here, but the other thing, you have to be extremely disciplined out there. You can't beat yourself. It's tough enough to win a football game when you're playing your best against the other CFL competition. But when you hurt yourself...
Unnecessary roughness. Winnipeg number 88. 15-yard penalty. Third down. Third.
And that showed a good sign right there. Don Brooks got into a little bit of a frustration and argument, and then they allowed Winnipeg to come in and take the penalty, and it backs it up some.
Nathaniel Bolton gets the unnecessary roughness call, and that was the infraction right there. That takes the ball back to the 32-yard line. And Winnipeg looking at 3rd and 28. Bob Cameron's 3rd down punt. Taken by Smith, and Smith is surrounded and downed at the 34. 10:57 remaining in the opening quarter. Shreveport leads by 1. Downtown Shreveport is located about 10 minutes east of Independence Stadium along the I-20, a major freeway that runs through the city east and west. Shreveport 1st and 10. The Pirates leading 1-0. They are at their own 34-yard line. Johnson with a low throw, incomplete. It was intended for Wayne Walker.
Johnson makes it very easy for this Winnipeg defense to know exactly where he's going to come out. Those backs go out of the backfield. This is a very sound defensive Winnipeg team that plays man coverage extremely well. So when he stands back there, two things. He's going to be a quick pass or a quarterback draw.
They haven't been moving the pocket around all that much this season, and that's something that Johnson suggested the team should be doing to have some success with the passing attack. He drops straight back, the pass over the middle, it's intercepted. Picked off by Bobby Evans. And Bobby Evans stays in bounds, spins away from Johnson, but Johnson got just enough of him, and Evans is down at the Shreveport 24-yard line. So Bobby Evans, playing at home for the first time, has a souvenir of his return to Louisiana in the uniform of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, picking off a deflection of the Mike Johnson pass.
Fairly decent protection for Mike Johnson. The ball's thrown properly, just off of the hands of Charles Thompson. But Bobby Evans does an excellent job of looking the ball in, cupping it underneath the ground, picks it up, and makes a big gain after the interception.
Evans attempted to swing away from Johnson, but he got just enough of him, and it's 1st and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 25-yard line. McCant looks to the end zone for Alphen, incomplete. Alphen was being covered in the end zone by Shelton.
The Shelter Insurance Center will always be there for you, repairs to you out there, and personal service and insurance protection for your home, car, life, farm.
Defensively, this is the way Shreveport lines up. For viewers across the network, not many familiar names, but those with previous CFL experience: Stuman, Fuller, and Shelton. And Greg Stuman is the most experienced CFL member of this Shreveport team.
Joking with Stuman yesterday, I said, how's it feel to be a player coach out there? And he said, I just don't get the pay like I should.
Pass into the end zone. They went to Gerald Alphen again. This is a touchdown. Gerald Alphen leads the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in touchdown receptions. That's his 11th of the year. One of the amazing things about his touchdown reception total is that he has not had a single 100-yard pass receiving game this year.
Incredible receivers all the way across the board for Winnipeg, and that's what makes them so tough to defend against. McCann did an excellent job that time. Again, plenty of time to throw the ball, able to stand in the pocket, looks the safety off, and then he comes back to Alphen right up the seam.
On the previous play, McCant went to Alphen, overthrew him in the end zone, but he came right back to him for the major score, and now Troy Westwood will attempt the extra point, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have a 7-1 lead with 9:13 remaining in the opening quarter here at Independence Stadium.
Take a look. Nobody's around Keith and McCann, and he has plenty of time to lob it up over the linebacker's coverage and inside to Gerald Alphen. Good view down, and Alphen, as soon as he sees the ball in the air, looks the ball in, cradles it in, makes a solid catch, and another touchdown.
The 11th touchdown reception of the season for Gerald Alphen, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have a 7-1 lead. Keithan McCant came on in relief of Sammy Garza on the 24th of August against Sacramento. That was his most successful game as a passer, completing 22 of 33 that night for 312 yards. In some of the other games he has started since then, he has had some difficult times. Last week against Shreveport, he was able to pass for 249 yards. One of the big adjustments that McCant has had to make, Dan, is calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. And for a young quarterback, I suppose that's something that falls into the category of being one of the difficult tasks.
It certainly is, and it's one of those things that it just comes with experience, that you're comfortable enough
to go up and know that you're going to execute the play, but all of a sudden the play that you want to call is not there. You've got to go somewhere else, and your mind takes over, and you're able to call that play very comfortably.
No opportunity for a return. Good coverage by the Winnipeg special team. A 34-yard kick and no return. The Shreveport Pirates will scrimmage 1st and 10, the ball at their own 40-yard line.
Well, if you can hear the boozer in the stands, it was a short kickoff, but the things that these fans need to know is that is considered an onside kick. So everybody that was back behind, they didn't have to give 5 yards in that game. They can go down and make the tackle right away. So it becomes a little bit of an education and a learning process here for the new fans.
Not only do the players have to learn the game, but the fans have to as well. And off to Benjamin, and Benjamin, who was in a free agent camp of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year, picks up about 4 yards. Del Lyles came over to make the tackle.
It's truly important for the young quarterback to come up and have some success and productivity 1st and 10 so that he's not in a 2nd and long situation and this Winnipeg defense can't pin their ears and get after him with the blitz. If he gets into 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, it opens up his whole repertoire as far as plays that he can select.
Shreveport 2nd and 8. Johnson's pass was over the head of the man he was looking for, Tony Moss. So the Shreveport Pirates are 2 and out on their first possession after the Winnipeg touchdown by Gerald Elfin.
3 big mistakes already. The illegal block on the opening kickoff, the interception, and then a play like that. Tony Moss is wide open, but he just doesn't make the break or read the defense quick enough. Mike Johnson has enough time to get the ball there to him, and there again, they have to punt, turn the ball back over to Winnipeg.
Boyko takes the ball in the dead run, and he goes down up at the 36-yard line, and that's where Winnipeg will scrimmage 1st and 10 when we return. As Scott mentioned earlier, the Blue Bombers chartered into Shreveport last night, and they had room on their charter for some of their fans, and obviously these 2 people made the trip to Shreveport. 1st and 10 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They are at their own 37-yard line. Inside handoff to Blaze Bryant. He slipped as he was attempting to cut back in front of Savage, and he went down and will lose at least a yard in the play.
But this is not a big Shreveport defense, and I think that the Winnipeg feels right now their defense line across the front, 6 foot, 258 is Williams. Johnny Scott, the other tackle, is only 6'2", about 264. They think that their big offensive line, they can run the ball at them very strongly, just run it right down their throat. This Shreveport defense has really impressed me with their pursuit speed.
Inside toss, and Greg Stuman read that one as he brings down Blaze Bryant. Greg Stuman, the most experienced member of the Shreveport Pirates, having played previously in BC, Edmonton, and Ottawa.
One of the plays that really hurt Shreveport last week was this inside shovel pass, and I saw on Thursday afternoon here at Shreveport watching their practice, and they really practiced and got after this play extremely hard, and right there, Greg Stuman closed it down for no gain whatsoever.
Actually, a loss of 3 yards, 3rd and 14. Bob Cameron's 3rd down punt. Taken by Lucas, and Lucas got away from Bobby Evans, tries to go wide, and then is down at the 41-yard line. Brian Carey was there to make the tackle, a 45-yard punt, and 5 yards on the return for Lucas. Let's go down to the sidelines, and here's Scott.
Well, Don, you may be able to see that things are so sloppy on the sidelines of Independence Stadium that the host has gone to 2-inch cleats, but this is the end result of all the rain that fell overnight, and as I said earlier, stopped just before game time. It's a marked departure from the way this turf normally is. Normally, it's hard-baked southern turf that is very hard to grip on. It's kind of like being tackled on artificial turf. You can see the slop perhaps in the rest of the field. It's making it very difficult for the Winnipeg wideouts on those quick out patterns.
Deep throw for Walker. He's gone for the touchdown. Walker got in behind Donald Smith, and Johnson delivered it perfectly. A 69-yard pass and run play from Mike Johnson.
Walker.
You forget about this young quarterback. He had a great start with the BC Lions under two excellent teachers, one in Danny Barrett as the quarterback, the other in Joe Powell as the offensive coordinator. So he knows this game extremely well, and he's set back in that pocket very composed.
Wayne Walker, of course, with experience in the CFL with the Ottawa Rough Riders, and he ran under the throw from Mike Johnson. And with the point-after attempt by Nitmo, an opportunity for the Shreveport Pirates to once again take a one-point lead. Movement at the line of scrimmage prematurely. 6:02 remaining in the opening quarter. Only the 13th passing touchdown of the year for Shreveport.
Plenty of time to throw the ball. Good, solid job by the offensive line. Now look at the burst of speed that Wayne Walker does, the acceleration. The ball's just laid out there. All he has to do is run under it, makes an excellent catch of looking and concentrating the ball in, and gets it in for a major score, and even more importantly, some true needed confidence for the Shreveport Pirate team.
Nitmo with the point after, and the Shreveport Pirates have an 8-7 lead. Lonnie Gleberman, who feels his team is going to improve over the next few games and be well prepared going into the 1995 season. He admits that they made mistakes in preparing for this initial season in Shreveport. Not having enough CFL experienced players is probably the biggest error they made.
That also, and probably their coaching staff not being familiar with the CFL games. If you look at a team like Baltimore, Don Matthews came in there and he brought all CFL experienced coaches in there to teach the game. And it really has helped Baltimore. And I think now on the defensive side of the ball for the Shreveport Pirates, Dan Daniels is coaching. Also, Steve Dennis is there as the defensive coordinator. Steve Dennis, or Stick as we all called him in the old days, the defensive back well known out of the Saskatchewan Rough Riders. So they have plenty of experience on the defensive side. They just need to gain a little more experience offensively.
Horace Bragg, the head coach of the Pirates, was with the Toronto Argonauts in 1979. He had a 5-11 record when he was the head coach of the Toronto Argonauts. Vince Lombardi paid him the ultimate tribute. He said he was the best player he ever coached in Green Bay.
And you think of the number of players that Coach Lombardi has seen come through that Green Bay organization. To say that is the ultimate compliment, as you said, Rick.
Jamie Holland on the kickoff return. And Holland gets it out to the 23-yard line, a 21-yard run back.
This is the one place where Shreveport can really accelerate as far as their special team play, because all that is guts and courage and just getting down there and effort and determination. And when you get in there, you just try to find the ball, chase it down, and make the tackle. And this team does an excellent job of doing that.
Winnipeg, 1st and 10. The ball is at the 28. McCann is forced to pull it down. Now he throws for Holland and overthrows him along the sidelines. Joe Fuller got over to defend against Holland. It may have been a case where McCann, after pulling it down, might have been in a better position to run with the football and throw it.
This is what I think the offensive coordinator, Mike Kelly, would like to see a lot more of. A running quarterback up here puts so much pressure on a defense that you really have to respect that. That time when he pulled it down, he had the whole left side of the field wide open, could have picked up an easy 20 or 30 yards, but he wants to, for some reason, establish himself as a quarterback and as a thrower, as a passer. Mike Kelly said he's a thrower, he's not a passer yet.
And again, an opportunity to run, and this time McCann will take off and will get the first down up to the 40-yard line.
Perfect example that time of doing what he needed to do. Take it on your own shoulders, good coverage downfield. Now you go pick up the first down yourself. Sprint out, he wants to stop. Now he wants to throw back to the seam. A little over and under route. Nobody's there. Now he just takes it on himself. Good stiff arm because he's a big, strong fella. He's able to pick up the first down, keep the chains moving, keep possession of the football.
Shelton got some help in making the tackle from Johnny Scott, who came back from his defensive tackle position. Winnipeg 1st and 10. The ball is at the 41. This time McCant rolls to his left. This time he'll throw, and he completes the pass into the arms of Holland for a gain of about 8.
This shows you just a little bit of the athletic ability of this young quarterback. He comes out, sprints out to his left, is able to throw the ball on a rope out there with good athletic ability, had some velocity on the ball, and had some accuracy.
They rule that Holland went out of bounds at the 46-yard line, so it will be a gain of 5, make it 2nd and 5 for Winnipeg. Nathaniel Bolton lines up wide right, Holland to the left. The toss goes to Blaze Bryant. Bryant picks up a first down as he gets to midfield. What a game Blaze Bryant had against the Hamilton Ticats. He set a club record 34 carries for 49 yards on September 17th, the 3rd best individual rushing performance in the CFL. There was some concern about Blaze Bryant, whether or not he would be able to start this game. He convinced the team that he was ready to play. Cal said he better be ready to go all the way. Bryant again with a gain of 4. It will be 2nd and 6. Savage made the tackle.
But we talked about, as you just mentioned, his rushing record that he made. That happened after the loss to Saskatchewan at home. So this offensive line had something to prove, and this whole team had something to prove, and they went out and did it extremely well with that guy carrying the mail.
2nd and 6, Winnipeg. 2:37 remaining in the first quarter. Shreveport leading by a score of 8-7. Alphen in motion across the formation. The toss goes to Blaze Bryant. He finds another hole. He gets to the outside and a first down as he carries inside the Shreveport 40. He was tackled by Mario Perry.
This veteran offensive line of Winnipeg does an excellent job. Blocked down, Fred McNeil gets out, curls around. Now he's going to cut off the linebacker, Weatherspoon, inside. Blaze Bryant knows for a fact his next move, once he gets by the initial line of scrimmage, break to the outside, get away from the pursuit, and he picks up big yardage.
Brett McNeil, 6'5", 290 pounds. He pales in comparison to the two guys playing tackle, Chris Walby and Miles Gurrell, as far as size is concerned.
At 290, it's hard to be thinking that you're the little guy in between those two.
Blaze Bryant on first down ran into one of his blockers, and he went down right at the 40-yard line. Jamie Scott was there to put the stop on Blaze Bryant with help from Stuman. Jamie Scott doesn't have a lot of football experience and is one of the few people who has been with Shreveport since training camp.
I think this Winnipeg team just took the defense. They expected to be able to run over them completely, and this Shreveport defense really surprised them.
Chris Johnson takes the pass coming out of the backfield for a first down inside the 25-yard line. Shelton, the safety, brought down Johnson, but not before he had picked up 17 yards.
And this is one of the biggest surprises right here for the whole Winnipeg offense, is a guy that's not used primarily just as a blocker, but every now and then, boom, they fake the counter back, they slip out Johnstone into the flats, and he dumps it off, and McCant takes a hit. He knows he's going to take the hit, but he delivers the pass on target.
Mario Perry's eyes lit up. He thought he was going to have a quarterback sack before it was dumped off by McCant, and now Blaze Bryant picks up another first down, taking the ball down to the 10-yard line. Perhaps that 69-yard throw from Johnson to Walker served as a wake-up call for the Blue Bombers.
It certainly will, because this offense knows it has to produce. They put the slot back over to the other side. The halfback on Shreveport goes over to that side. They only have the corner, and then Winnipeg does an excellent job, good blocking of sealing off the pursuit of the linebackers inside. So Blaze Bryant only has to beat one guy to the outside, and he picks up big yardage again.
13 yards in that carry. He has 41 in the game. Penalty flag in the play as Bryant was given the ball by McCant. It's 1st and goal, Winnipeg, and it's a procedure call against Winnipeg.
Illegal procedure. Winnipeg number 66. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Miles Gurrell was guilty of the illegal procedure call. Gurrell is listed at 6'9", or 6'8", 320. I think he's a little heavier now.
You go tell him that. you go ahead and confront him if you'd like to. I'll get you a stepladder to crawl up on if you need to.
This should be the final play of the opening quarter. McCann throwing to the end zone. Touchdown, wide open again. Gerald Alphen. And Alphen, the Winnipeg Blue Bomber club leader in touchdown receptions, now has his 12th of the year, his 2nd of the game.
Again, this Winnipeg offensive line buys a lot of time for the young quarterback to be able to stand back there. He goes to his first receiver that he wants to throw to, it's not there. Now he's got to come back to. Gerald Alphen keeps working. No one's around Keithan McCann, and he's able to beat Don Brooks, the halfback on that side, just lobs it up. And when the ball's thrown that nicely, Gerald Alphen doesn't make any mistakes.
A tremendous touchdown to reception ratio. He scores a touchdown once in about every 4 catches. The point after by Troy Westwood, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have a 6-point lead, and that was also the final play of the opening quarter. The Bombers in front 14-8. It's been a 2-touchdown day for Gerald Alphen. He has 12 for the season. The Blue Bombers lead 14-8. And now to start the second quarter, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be kicking off following the Alphen touchdown. You don't often see a 10-play, 82-yard drive in the CFL. The CFL is noted for big plays.
And I think that it's really important now when you have a young quarterback out there that he is very patient enough to be able to march that team down the field the way he is. A lot of young guys like to go out there. They want to hit the big home run ball early and make something happen. But that was a very positive thing for the Winnipeg offense.
Lucas takes the ball back at the 5-yard line. Lucas, you'll recall, had an opening kickoff of 74 yards, wiped out by a holding call. Rogers is downfield to make the tackle.
The CFL on CBC. Brought to you by Dodge Trucks, reinventing the truck.
Well, since making Danny Kepley into an all-star in Edmonton, Cal Murphy moved to Winnipeg in 1983, and in his coaching career with the Bombers, he has compiled an amazing record: 66 wins, 30 losses, and 1 tie. The pass was intended for Benjamin, incomplete, and pressure was being applied to quarterback Mike Johnson. He had to hurry his throw. Statistically, this is what happened in the opening quarter of this afternoon's football game. 1 turnover led to a Winnipeg touchdown, the first of the 2 by Gerald Alphen. The Bombers, in time of possession, much of it as the result of that 10-play, 82-yard drive, more than doubling the possession total of the Pirates.
That clock is the best defense that they can use against this Winnipeg team.
Again intended for Benjamin, incomplete. And once again, it's 2 and out for Shreveport. Not a big man. Benjamin, 5'7", 170 pounds, has good speed. Lack of size is one of the reasons that Cal Murphy dropped him at training camp.
Had 1 year with Cincinnati out of Pacific University, was an Associated Press All-American during that time. So he comes with some fairly serious credentials, but as you say, his size did have some holdbacks in the NFL, but up here, he can certainly be utilized. Look at Michael Pinball Clements.
Boyko on the return. He and Bolton got a little confused as Bolton was attempting to block a Shreveport player in front of him, and Boyko ran right into him, limiting the return to 9 yards. Scott?
Well, Don, Keithan McCann's going to head onto the field now, hoping for results similar to what he got on the last drive, which ended with a touchdown pass to Gerald Elfin. But how about this comparison? Matt Dunnigan started off the season on pace to throw for a brisk 9,000 yards until he was hurt in Week 7. Passing game has tailed off considerably with Keithan McCann as the starter, but it's not an indictment of any sort because the end result has been close to the same. 5-2 with Dunnigan at quarterback, 4-2 with McCann. And I guess the point is they're finding ways to win.
Yes, they have been finding ways to win, and although people would suggest that Cal Murphy would be happy with a 4-2 record in Matt Dunnigan's absence, Cal would like to win every football game.
Well, any coach wants to win every football game, but when you line up and you have the caliber of athletes that they have on the field, he's expecting to be 6-0 as opposed to 4-2 since McCann has taken over.
That's something that Cal was talking about this morning when we had a conversation with him. We have to find ways to win, and this is not one of the ways that Cal was looking for. Mario Perry with the interception, and he's forced out of bounds by David Black.
And it doesn't matter how veteran your team can be when you have one guy pulling the trigger that's as young as Keithan McCann and can make that kind of mental mistake. He takes it up, wants to just throw the quick hot route, but he throws it right into Mario Perry's hands, and Perry does an excellent job. The ball surprises him. He looks it in, catches it. Now let's get upfield. Everybody tries to get a block. Does a tremendous job of keeping his balance. The first thing you have to do as a defensive player, as soon as the interception, go knock the quarterback down.
A return to live action with Benjamin picking up about 4 yards before Reggie Gibbons came over to make the tackle. Gibbons wearing number 4 for the Blue Bombers. A Penn State product who has been working out with the team for about the last month. And he moves into the linebacking position, replacing Calvin Smith.
That's the history of the Winnipeg. They have linebackers. Every time they lose one, they can put one in and not lose a step. And that's what's happening with the chance for Reggie Gibbons.
Pass intended for Thompson. He's able to hang on, but Darrell Sampson throws him out of bounds, well short of a first down. Good defensive play by the veteran defensive back, Darrell Sampson, a number 2 draft choice back in 1986 out of York.
Mike Johnson, that young quarterback, has to know he's going in 2nd and 6, 2nd and 8 again. Now he comes up, he runs a quick out pattern at 2 yards. He's not going to pick up that first down. You got to be able to at least throw the ball downfield somewhere and give the guy an opportunity once he makes the catch to possibly pick up the first down, as opposed to just taking it out of bounds and forcing a field goal trot.
This will be a 44-yard attempt by Nitmo. He hit one earlier this year from 56 yards out. In warm-up, he was hitting them today from 65 yards away. And this one might have split the uprights from 55 or 60 yards out. Nitmo puts it through for 3, and 3 points separate the two teams with 11:45 left in the half. The man standing beside Cal Murphy is, of course, Matt Dunnigan. When will Dunnigan return? There's a possibility he could be back next week against Las Vegas. But I think Cal Murphy would like to see him return in 2 weeks' time. He doesn't want to really rush things.
No, I think not. And not unless you know that Matt Dunnigan is 150% as opposed to maybe 95%.
McCann drops back. His arm is hit as he tries to throw, and it's intercepted by Witherspoon. The ball was deflected, and Witherspoon, the middle linebacker, comes up with the 2nd consecutive interception. The man who intercepted the first was Mario Perry, and he deflected the McCann throw into the arms of Witherspoon. So consecutive turnovers again provide Shreveport with excellent field position.
McCann looking downfield. He can't see the rush coming from the backside. Mario Perry comes in, strips the ball loose, and Witherspoon is an excellent defender. Jumps up, recognizes the ball, comes up with the interception. This is the big turnover that Shreveport needs to build even more confidence in their ability.
Intended for Walker, incomplete. Smith was defending against Walker, a similar ploy to the one that produced the first touchdown for Shreveport.
Donald Smith is a veteran of this league. He knows he may get beat once, but he's not going to get beat twice. But the pass was there. Walker had an opportunity. When he fell back, it was underthrown very slightly, and it went right through his hands. He would have had to make a circus catch, but it was possible.
2nd and 10. The ball is at the 39 of Winnipeg. 10:47 remaining in the first half from the shotgun. Johnson looking for Smith, and Winnipeg Smith comes up to knock it away. Donald Smith deflecting the ball away from Terry Smith, and the Winnipeg defensive back is a little slow in getting up. He is favoring his left arm, it would appear.
As he came across to make a stab at the ball to knock it away, he came down on that left shoulder, and the arm was extended, so my guess would be that he may have some problems in the shoulder area. Take a good look at Mike Johnson out there. He says, I know I can have that play. You gave me some time. Just stick with it. Make the block. You run the routes. I'll get the ball to you. Let's just keep working at it.
Johnson at one time this year contacted Winnipeg about a tryout, but at that time the Bombers had Dunnigan, Garza, and Keithan McCant. Then when Garza and Dunnigan went down, Cal Murphy was thinking about contacting Johnson. By that time he had moved on and contacted Shreveport.
If you snooze, you lose in this league. You got to make the first grab that you can at somebody, and hopefully that you never have to have a backup quarterback. But in this case, Winnipeg did need one.
Terry Smith holds for Nitmo for this 46-yard field goal try. It's good, and this game is tied at 14 with 10:20 remaining in the half.
This guy makes field goal kicking look pretty easy to me.
Well, he has the ability to kick the ball from a long distance, as we saw in warm-up. And, you know, Nitmo in 1989 was with the New York Giants, and he was a bit of an off-field celebrity as well. That same year, he appeared on the David Letterman show and was kicking balls into the crowd at the taping of the Letterman show. Born in Sweden. I would hazard to guess the only Swedish-born player to ever play in the CFL.
And played at Appalachian State. That's in North Carolina, in the mountains of North Carolina. That was in the Southern Conference that I used to be in at East Carolina.
Blaze Bryant is tackled by Alex Mash, and he is going to lose 2 yards in the play. It will be 2nd and 12 Winnipeg. 14-14 Winnipeg and Shreveport with 9:47 remaining in the first half.
Just excellent pursuit defensively. This is the one thing that I think they're undersized in their line and their outside linebackers, but they have great speed, great pursuit, and excellent tackling techniques.
Jamie Holland goes wide to the left along with Wilcox and Alphen. Wilcox, the Bombers' leading receiver, has not been thrown to so far today, and this pass was intended for Bolton down the right side. Bolton slipped as he was attempting to run his pattern, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers will be forced to kick it away.
Carlton Johnson did an excellent job on the corner. He's just one-on-one with him, sticking with him man for man, stride for stride as Bolton makes his cut. Johnson makes his cut also, and the ball is thrown out of bounds. Terrific coverage in the secondary. Old stick. Steve Dennis would be happy with that kind of coverage from the corner position.
Bob Cameron, during his career in the CFL, has punted the ball for over 50 miles. The 40-year-old punter gets away another beauty. It's taken by Lucas. And again, excellent downfield coverage by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the tackle is made by Burress after a 52-yard Cameron carry.
Back at Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana. Less than 9 minutes to go in the first half, and we're tied at 14. And Bomber right cornerback Donald Smith is back in the game. Result of medical technology. The Bomber medical staff moments ago here on the sidelines put a plaster cast on his left hand. What he did was jam his thumb, so they put it back into place and put the cast on it, and he should be okay for the rest of the game, Don, if he can stand the pain.
Well, in the CFL, players learn to play with pain. I think there were few games you probably didn't really feel like being out there, Kev.
There was a few, but in this time with the turnarounds, there's guys waiting in the wings to get an opportunity to play. You can't go down and leave your spot, because once that guy has a chance to go out there, you may never get your spot back again.
On 1st and 10, absolutely no running room, as Greg Clark came up to make the tackle on Hadnot.
These guys across the board, Randolph, Givens, Clark, and Lyles, the linebacking core of Winnipeg, are so proficient in both rushing the passer, playing man-to-man pass coverage, and also pursuing the ball carrier. And when they get there, they make you pay with some serious tackles.
On 2nd and 7, intended for Thompson, well over his head. Thompson was running with Darrell Sampson, and it will be 3rd and 7 for Shreveport. 8:10 remaining in the first half. The game tied at 14.
He comes back again. He's been put in 2nd and long situations. They have not been able to convert any of those 2nd down situations, but he makes it 2nd and long. If he comes up and he has some production on that 1st down situation, gets 1st and 5, then he opens up a little more, and then he needs to run the ball a little bit more, take it on himself to try to pick up a 1st down and keep the ball in possession of the Shreveport Pirates.
Osborne is there to make the tackle on Nathaniel Bolton on the 3rd down punt. And Keithan McCant receives some final instructions from upstairs. And had better hurry to get onto the playing field. Winnipeg will scrimmage, 1st and 10. The ball is at the Shreveport 47-yard line. 14-14 is the score. Jamie Holland goes wide left. Bolton lines up to the right. Pressure from the backside. The pass is complete to Blaze Bryant. Bryant with some room down the sidelines and takes it to the Shreveport 23. Forced out of bounds by Baskerville.
Good play by the young quarterback this time. He waggles Blaze Bryant out of the backfield, and it knocks him up one-on-one with Perry, the outside linebacker. Anytime you feel you're going to get a mismatch. Look at 34. Now he's going to try to trail Blaze Bryant from behind. Blaze has too much speed. That's how he got his first name. He's going to blow by guys, and he does as he gets into the flat, picks up big yardage again.
26 yards on the game. Now the handoff to Blaze Bryant, and Bryant is going to be close to another 1st down. Bryant came into this ball game requiring 26 yards to become a 1,000-yard rusher in the CFL. He has carried 10 times this afternoon for 51 yards, so he has cracked the 1,000-yard barrier. And Winnipeg has had the leading rusher in the CFL for the past 4 years. Robert Mims twice, Michael Richardson twice. But Blaze Bryant has a couple of pretty fine rushers as he goes up and over the top, taking it inside the 10-yard line.
But in the same instance, as you had mentioned on that, Matt Dunnigan was on track to throw the ball for over 9,000 yards also, had a 700-yard throwing afternoon against the Edmonton Eskimos. Plus, they have these runners. They have just such a well-balanced offensive attack.
Pringle, the CFL leader from Baltimore, and Philpott from British Columbia, already over 1,000 yards. And Bryant is the 3rd 1,000-yard runner this year in the CFL. McCant to the end zone, and Alphen has his 3rd of the afternoon. Boy, Gerald Alphen, coming out of the slot back position, has been getting wide open in the end zone when the Bombers are in scoring range.
It's pretty easy to get that wide open when you run all by yourself. Shreveport Pirates secondary just absolute blow the coverage on that time. As Wilcox comes across the formation all the way, there's trips to the left of your screen. The halfback came across the formation to try to cover one-on-one. They had an inside and outside switch with the 2nd and 3rd receiver, and they just blew it in the back end and allowed Gerald Alphen to run right through the end zone and pick up his 3rd touchdown of the evening.
I said earlier that Gerald Alphen's seasonal touchdown to reception ratio is 1-4. This afternoon, it's 1-for-1. 3 catches, 3 touchdowns.
It makes it tough on these receivers these days because now when you go in and you have multiple touchdown afternoons, you got to come up with different dances every time you score. The same old dance, we've seen that. That's like disco trying to come back again.
Troy Westwood drives the ball to Benjamin at the 8-yard line. Benjamin gets to the outside and manages to stay on his feet before Brendan Rogers catches up with him at the midfield stripe. A 47-yard run back after a 67-yard kickoff. Scott?
Well, Don, training and medical staff spend a lot of time tending to knee injuries, and Bomber athletic therapist Ross Hodgkinson tells me on average his team suffers about 3 or 4 a year, so you can imagine how cursed the Shreveport Pirates feel this year. They've had 13 knee surgeries and many more injuries, torn ACLs, MCIs, and any other CIs or CLs you can think of. Bombers long ago made knee braces mandatory for all their linemen and linebackers, and maybe the Pirates should consider the same policy.
At the moment, they are concentrating on reducing that 7-point deficit as Lucas takes the pass on the sidelines for a first down.
But what's exciting about this, you're going to see Mike Johnson move the pocket out of the backfield, force the corner a bit. Now he's able to throw that out a lot easier. He catches Hatch looking into the backfield, trying to favor to the inside, and he's able to complete the pass to Lucas for a big gain.
First and 10, the ball is at the 42 of Winnipeg. 21-14, the Bombers lead. Handoff inside to Hadnot, and Hadnot will get a couple of yards before being racked up. Pardon me, make that Patton the ball carrier.
Tackled by Rob Davidson. Right on our car wash 30-car contest letter is a blue Toyota truck. You get a plate 808-18-444.
Patton, one of the very few backfield guys that has actually carried the ball over 100 times, came into the game carrying it 109 times for 475.
Johnson on second down completes the pass for a Shreveport first down, and Walker is thrown back by Donald Smith. Well, he may be playing in pain, but he hasn't lost any strength as he grabbed Walker and threw him backwards, but not before Walker had picked up a first down.
I don't think Donald's going to run for political office around in this county anywhere. But the thing that was very impressive was the delivery by Mike Johnson. The ball's thrown, quick curl route, the ball's thrown on the money with some speed and velocity to it, and then the souffle move by Donald Smith.
Johnson looks for Walker on the sidelines, and Walker has a gain of about 6 or 7 yards, and this time it was Paul Randolph who came over to make the tackle, and Johnson got that one away just in time, looking to the sidelines for some help in calling the next play. Walker has been a favorite target this afternoon.
I was so impressed yesterday afternoon when we were sitting there just talking to Michael Walker, just having to talk with him, listen to his enthusiasm, to his knowledge about the game. Michael Johnson, I should say, the quarterback, of how excited he was about having an opportunity to play, and he's coming through and showing that today.
Patton, the ball carrier, inside, will get about 5 yards and a first down. Linebacker Reggie Gibbons, with help from Bobby Evans, made the tackle. Patton was with New England at training camp in the 1993 season. He has been one of the consistent performers all year for Shreveport. They started the year with Terrence Jones at quarterback, and now they have their 6th starting quarterback of the season, Mike Johnson, calling the plays, a former BC Lion signal caller. He also spent some time in the Arena Football League, had a tryout with Saskatchewan, and Johnson is going to run it himself. He scores the touchdown. I think they're going to rule, however, that he was downed at the 1-yard line. I think his knee may have touched down at the 1, but a fine run by Mike Johnson taking the ball down to the 1. It will be first and goal Shreveport when we return to Independence Stadium. Last week, Johnson, in relief of Cobb, carried the ball just twice for 12 yards. He gets 14 on this run.
Quarterback kind of counter draw with big Fred Childress leading the way. That's 6'3", 355 pounds in front of him. He clears out a big alley. And Mike Johnson does an excellent job of getting the ball down to the 1-yard line. Now this is the real test for that offensive line. Just stand up there and beat one guy one-on-one in front. Who's the toughest in the trenches? Get the ball in the end zone and tie this game up.
Bob Wallow, who is dressed for this game, was with Hamilton for 3 games in 1993. He has come into the ball game to back up at the left guard position, but is now in the lineup, replacing Okeke. Second man through. Patton scores the touchdown. The only Shreveport running back with a 100-yard game this season. Martin Patton puts the ball in the end zone, and the upcoming convert by Nitmo will tie this one again at 21.
Take the wideouts out, put 2 backup offensive linemen in as tight ends, and just blow them off the line. Give the ball to Patton, and he does an excellent job following his blockers and getting it in to tie this game up at 21. Take it for granted that Nitmo makes this extra point.
Well, converts are almost automatic. And Nitmo puts this one through to tie the game at 21 with 2:29 remaining in the half. Patton didn't see a lot of work last week. In Winnipeg's 39-21 victory, he only ran for 9 yards. In that game, Benjamin was the leading ball carrier for Shreveport with 72 yards on 7 carries, but Patton puts it in the end zone and celebrates by firing a souvenir into the stands.
That may take up the majority of his paycheck if he's not too careful with them. I think they're fining him for those things these days.
21-21, 2:29 remaining in the first half. 21 points, the same point total the Shreveport Pirates had last Saturday at Winnipeg Stadium.
Very confident looking Michael Johnson right there. Big huddle for us, Greg, in the middle of all that stuff. Talking to his special teams out there about getting down and covering this kickoff. Now, this is all I said earlier. It's just energy and effort and determination to get down there. And when you've got a guy that is as legendary in football as that man right there, you kind of just go on every word and every breath that he takes and says to you.
Well, he didn't have the opportunity to work with the team during training camp. He took over from John Heward on June the 17th. And he had to be patient in assembling the players he wanted on this Shreveport Pirate football team. He's still got a lot of tinkering before this team is going to be successful, but he's on the right path, it would appear. Jamie Holland on the kickoff return is stopped at the 25-yard line. A 23-yard kickoff return. The Pirates moved 55 yards in 7 plays with Patton, number 5, wearing the big smile, putting it in the end zone.
A couple things that Mike Johnson did extremely well. Moved the pocket, took the shorter passes, kept the possession of it, and he ran the ball. He took it on himself. That's something that this quarterback right here, Keithan McCant, is good at doing. He just needs to do more of it.
Move around and run the football is what Cal Murphy wants Keithan McCant to do more of. McCant is throwing deep for Holland. Penalty flag in the play. Interference is almost certainly going to be called against Baskerville.
There's contact on every play downfield somewhere, and I want to see this again because I think it's pretty incidental. I mean, this is football. You got to touch and grab every now and then. Let's see what happens now. Did he grab just a little bit too much? Because you see where the left hand comes out and he stretches the jersey out, then you know that you're going to get caught.
Anytime you stretch a player's jersey, the officials are going to react.
If you're going to grab in front when the ref is behind you and all of a sudden that receiver's in between you, then you may be able to get away with it.
McCann's pass, the first time he has attempted to go to Gerald Wilcox this afternoon, misses the target. Wilcox is having a career season. 85 receptions, the third highest total in Winnipeg Blue Bomber club history. 9 touchdowns this year. And he came into this game with 1,277 yards. Last year, Wilcox on 79 catches had 1,340 yards. Blaze Bryant drives his way to the 40-yard line. He'll be about a yard short of a first down.
One thing, there's a complete contradiction in which side he's throwing the ball to this week for Keith and McCann. Last week, Gerald Wilcox caught 11 passes for 151 yards. Gerald Alpin only caught 1 pass for 5. Now, all of a sudden, this week, he's come back. 3 touchdowns passes to Gerald Alpin, and that was the first throw. The play previous to the running play of Blaze Bryant was the first time Gerald Wilcox had the ball thrown at him this game.
Well, Keith and McCann doesn't bother throwing to Gerald Alpin until they get down close to the end zone. He's only gone to him 3 times, 3 touchdowns the result.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you got a sure thing, you just got to figure out how you're going to get the ball down there so you can throw it to Gerald Alpin.
49-yard field goal attempt by Troy Westwood. It's wide. That's the first time he has missed in 14. He had 13 consecutive successful field goals prior to that miss. And Terry Smith brings it out of the end zone to the 21-yard line. 1:39 remaining in the first half. Penalty flags on the play as there is some pushing and shoving following the whistle. Chris Sangaris involved and lost his helmet in the process.
But you got to think about this a little bit. It could be showing some uneducational move about the CFL game too. You can give up the 1 point there and take the ball back at the line of scrimmage for the missed field goal as opposed to trying to run it out. Now you get the ball on the 20-yard line and you'd only be 1 point behind. I would much rather have better field position.
Winnipeg, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Major foul against Chris Sangaris. And the Shreveport Pirates will take the ball out to the 36 where they'll scrimmage 1st and 10.
Now that penalty helps them out. They're getting a little bit closer to where the original line of scrimmage was and gives Mike Johnson a little more room to operate in.
Johnson has 3 receivers wide to the right. Away by Hatch. It was intended for Moss. 2nd and 10 Shreveport. Scott?
Don, coming up on Live at the Half today, we'll see where Matt Dunnigan and many other CFL players honed their skills in a circle of big-time football programs surrounding Shreveport. Dunnigan will join us live, and we want you all to join us live as well. And we'll tell you what not to do if you don't want your team to go winless in 13 straight games to start the season. This after we went to school on what the Shreveport Pirates have done, but how about what they're doing today? They've got one of the CFL's strongest teams on even terms heading for the half.
Fumble by Benjamin, but he was able to recover. Scott's been here just a couple of days already. He's got a bit of a drawl in his speech.
You know, I've been talking with him a little bit because I've got to come with that North Carolina accent of mine, and I've been working with him, but, you know, you could tell that he was really straining on that you all thing. It's y'all. You just got to say y'all. It's got to all like marbles in your mouth. You got to run it together.
I can't believe, though, that Scott ate alligator last night.
Well, I think so. That's pretty good. I mean, you know, when in Rome, you got to do in the Romans do. But so when you're down in Louisiana, you got to do like the Cajuns.
Cantor's punt taken by Boyko at the 35-yard line, and Boyko goes down at the 43 with 1:12 remaining in the half. Perry was there to make the tackle. Boyko was wearing a visor. He broke his nose on a punt return last week against Shreveport. He was telling me that if it continued to rain as it was when I spoke with him earlier today, he would have to have just a single bar coming down to protect his nose, because the visor with the rain and that would really be a problem. But obviously the rain has stopped and he is wearing the visor.
very easily to get your fingers caught in there, take out an eye at any time. It pertains to hockey, it pertains to football players, and the vision is very, very important.
McCann's pass over the middle, and it's complete, and this is the first one that Gerald Alphen has caught and hasn't scored a touchdown on.
I'd bench him. I'd sit him right down. I would. I'd take him out if I was Cal Murphy, call him over there, and just have him say, listen, what is wrong with you? I keep throwing the ball to you. 3 times you score. What's wrong with that play? Young quarterback sprint, Stoback coming back across the middle. Safety is way out of the picture there. That's Anthony Shelton. Way in, allows everything to be thrown right in front of him. Linebackers are up tight. Big open area. And Keithan McCann takes full advantage of that.
I think there may be a bit of a timing problem. That's the reason for the delay, as Dave Ewell, the referee, has gone over to the sidelines. It gives Keithan McCann an opportunity to look over at the bench and get a little help in his play selection. Well, there are Bomber fans in attendance this afternoon at Independence Stadium. This morning they were wondering about the wisdom of making the trip when the rain was pelting down, but about an hour before game time it stopped. It's not a bad afternoon. It's warm. Overthrown, and it's intercepted by Shelton. Intended for Wilcox, and it's Wilcox who makes the tackle. Keithan McCann badly overthrew the slot back, and Shelton, the safety, a former Winnipeg Blue Bomber, comes up with the interception.
Comes back to the same type of pass that he completed to Alphen earlier. He does badly overthrown. The ball's wobbling. It's like a shot duck. Now you watch Shelton comes up with it. Now if he just continues to the left, they got the block set up. They have the whole wall of blockers set up down the sideline. He breaks it back into the pursuit. But the main thing, he came up with the turnover.
43 seconds remaining in the half as Matt Dunnigan talks to Keithan McCann on the sidelines. Out of the shotgun, Johnson is forced out of the pocket. Throwing over the middle for Hill. He's got it at the 45-yard line. Errol Brown, the safety, made the tackle.
Don't mistake it. They're in field goal range right now for Nitmo to kick the ball. If they got a couple more seconds, they 35 seconds to go, they can probably get 2 or 3 more plays off. Excellent job of looking downfield, throws the ball into traffic. Number 84, Lloyd Hill, goes after the ball.
Down the sidelines, it was intended for Lucas, and he was being covered by Hatch. 2nd and 10, Shreveport. The ball is at the Winnipeg 45 with 26 seconds remaining in the half in a game that's tied at 21.
Johnson has to understand as a quarterback now that Winnipeg's going to be in some form of a prevent defense. They're not going to give up the deep ball. And he's going to have to take advantage and try to take anything that they're going to allow and to throw it underneath that zone or underneath the coverage. Maybe break it or even get better field goal range.
He's got Walker open on the sidelines. First down, Shreveport at the 32. Barres is playing the corner in place of Donald Smith.
Good job there. Throws the ball, delivers on the money, gets the ball out of bounds, stops the clock again.
21 seconds remaining. First and 10, Shreveport. The ball at the Winnipeg 32. Lucas goes wide right. Walker lines up to the left. Winnipeg on the blitz. It's picked up. Johnson throwing deep for Walker. Penalty flag in the play. Barres was defending against Walker.
And I think Barres is going to get called with.
Barres has come in to play the corner. The Bowling Green product taking over from Donald Smith, who suffered the thumb injury in the second quarter of this football game.
Contact on an eligible receiver. Winnipeg number 22. 10-yard penalty. First down.
First and 10 now, Shreveport. The ball is at the Winnipeg 22.
Walker makes an excellent move and cuts the jet zone to try to get by him, and Barres just puts the left hand out, grabs a little cloth also, and is penalized immediately.
Hill, Thompson, and Lucas go wide to the right. Johnson throwing into the corner for Patton, and it's incomplete. Pretty good speed there with linebacker Reggie Givens to run down the sidelines with Patton, and that's what Cal Murphy was talking about in Reggie Givens this morning. He said he has deceptive speed. You don't realize he's running as fast as he really is.
That's 6 foot 220. Really Patton micking it down the sideline. I mean, 2 feet are going right before one another, picking up some speed, and is able to cover that back. And that's the mismatch that young quarterback wants. He's got to get the ball to him a little earlier and not sail it out there and hope that he can outrun him.
2nd and 10, 10 seconds remaining in the half, intended for Hill, incomplete. He wouldn't have been able to catch that one anyway. It was well over his head. And that will result in the Shreveport field goal unit coming out.
Solid pressure by Paul Randolph right at the last minute. Comes in and takes a shot in the backside.
4 seconds remaining in the half. And Nitmo will be attempting a 29-yard field goal. Kick is wide and sails through the end zone. As a matter of fact, it went right through the open door underneath the stands in the back of the end zone. But the Shreveport Pirates will go to the dressing room with a 1-point lead at halftime. Scott?
Well, Don, the form chart says the Bombers should win this one, and through 30 minutes you can forget all about the form chart because Forrest Gregg's Pirates have the heavily favored Bombers by 1. Stand by. Live at the half is next. At Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana, and whoever thought we'd be saying that on a CFL telecast, but we are. The Pirates lead by 1, and whoever thought we'd be saying that, but we are. Well, you can go almost anywhere in this country and say you're in football country and not be far wrong, but this, folks, Shreveport, right here in the area of the U.S. known as Arklatex, this is serious football country. The CFL is a new player in a city surrounded by football factories.
Only an hour away from Shreveport is Grambling, home of the Tigers, coached by the legendary Eddie Robinson. The Tigers have provided the Bombers with some fine players, Benny Thompson and Alfred Payton, to name 2. Then there's Northeast Louisiana University. The Indians have fed the CFL. Calgary defensive end Will Johnson is a Northeast alumnus. Northwestern State is in the circle of major football programs. The Demons have sent their fair share of players to professional football. And 75 minutes outside of Shreveport in Ruston is Louisiana Tech, home of the Bulldogs. Their big news here. Michael Richardson was a Bulldog, but the most prominent CFLer to come out of this program is number 16, Matt Dunnigan. 10 years ago, he electrified crowds of 70,000, broke Terry Bradshaw's records, and earned his place in Louisiana football history.
And check the headgear now, if you will, on Matt Dunnigan. So with us is Louisiana Tech graduate Matthew Dunnigan. You did graduate, by the way, didn't you?
Yes, sure did. We got a high graduation rate at Louisiana Tech.
I'm just asking you that, Matt, just in case you'd have something to fall back on, just in case this pro football thing didn't work out.
Bachelor of Science in Business for this boy, thanks to Patsy Lewis and E.J. Lewis.
You're in Shreveport today. You're almost home.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to play in this one. It's been 12 years since I played in this field and worked hard the last 6 weeks trying to come off this injury to get back to where I can play. And I thought I was ready to play, but Cal just said give it another week, and so unfortunately I can't step on the field. I'd like to get out there and help teammates right now.
You know, Matt, this Arklatex accent of yours is very thick today.
Ooh, boy, you come down here and start feeling at home.
We've been talking about Southern football today, and you know from 4 years at Louisiana Tech that Fridays are a high school religion in this area. Saturdays are college days, a CFL day today, if you will. But how big is Southern football? Can you put it into perspective for us?
You really can't. I mean, this band that's playing right now speaks for itself. You get enthusiasm from the ground up here, support from when you're wee tot. It's kind of like hockey in Canada. You know, Ruston High right there in Ruston, Louisiana, you know, it's a fantastic football program. They're just putting out people left, right, and center. And people are just starving for football down here, and they get a good dose of it every Friday night. And now, thanks to the Pirates, they get a dose of this as well.
We're almost out of time here, but I got to ask you what your team must do in the second half to ensure they don't fall to the 0-13 Pirates.
Quit turning the ball over. Shore up on our special teams and quit giving good field position. I'm telling you, it's that simple. We got to quit turning the ball over and be smart.
Matt, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Matt Dunnigan is spectator today, and he's watching as his team trails the Shreveport Pirates by 1 at halftime when Live at the Half returns. Just how have the Pirates managed to go 0 for the season? We'll talk about that. The Monroe High School marching band on the field at Independence Stadium in Shreveport, and that's a slice of Americana. Now the Bombers are going to have to come from behind to avoid becoming the answer to a trivia question. You know, the law of averages says it's hard to go 0-13 in the Canadian Football League. Sooner or later, a team has to win, although in the case of the Pirates, it's obviously going to be later. If you're watching today thinking you might like to start up your own Canadian Football League franchise, please take our advice. There are at least 5 things you should not do.
Here now, the top 5 ways to avoid going 0-13. Number 5 on the list of football don'ts is don't put your players up in a livestock barn during training camp and expect them to clean it up themselves. Several prospective Pirates went home as soon as they saw their accommodation last June. Number 4, don't hire an out-of-touch coach you'll have to fire 2 weeks into training camp. That's how long John Heward lasted. He feuded with everyone, front office, players, and training staff before he was dispatched. Number 3, beware of too many father and son combinations. Vice President J.I. Albrecht seemed stuck in the 70s, and his son Dean wasn't much help as general manager. Both were fired, proving a team can only afford one father and son combination. Number 2, don't cut all your quarterbacks 8 weeks into the season. After a 67-15 loss to BC, Terrence Jones was dispatched along with backup Tom Mickey, leaving the Pirates to start all over at the game's most vital position. And number 1, try not to have training camp last 13 weeks into the season. Forrest Gregg has made close to 100 changes since he took over in July.
You know, I'm thinking the Glebermans could have avoided all this trouble if they just named the team the Rough Riders. Forrest Gregg has spent 2.5 months trying to straighten up the mess that was created in the first 2 weeks of Shreveport training camp. He's a legend in these parts from Sulphur Springs, Texas. It's only about an hour and 15 minutes away. Vince Lombardi has called him the finest player that he ever coached. He's a former NFL Coach of the Year, and 15 years ago, he coached the Toronto Argonauts, and he'll probably earn a place in the Canadian Football Hall of Fame if he can turn this Shreveport situation around.
Somebody asked me after I'd been here about 3 weeks, what have you been doing? I said, you ever heard of crisis management? I said, that's what I've been doing. It would seem like there was a fire here that you'd put out, and then you'd go over here and there'd be another fire break out. You'd have to put that out. And quite frankly, I did not coach. And when I say coach, I'm talking about really coach until I was here at least 6 or 7 weeks. What we'll do next year, we'll have a coaching staff put together long before the football season started. We will have had a chance to sit down and talk about what my philosophy is, about defense, about offense. We'll have a chance to at least review personnel, because we'll have some people. I can't even begin to express to you how appreciative I am of their attitude. I mean, they're guys that yell at you, you know. Hey, Greg, you know when you're going to win a game? You know, I say, I hope tonight.
Well, one thing is clear in Shreveport, and that is that Forrest Gregg is firmly in control. He is running the show. It may not yet be reflected in the standings, but, Don, I think you'd agree the Pirates are a better team for it.
Yes, they are, and they are in control after 30 minutes of play here at Independence Stadium, leading 22-21. Wayne Walker has been the favorite target of Mike Johnson this afternoon. 4 catches for 103 yards, 69 of them in the first quarter on a touchdown reception.
Well, this is a guy that comes in with some CFL experience, had some opportunities in Ottawa to catch a few passes, and he knew that this is a guy that you can go to for a big play. He's got lots of speed, and Mike Johnson goes to him early. Lots of time, good blocking upfield. Offensive given time for Mike Johnson. He lays the ball out. Excellent speed, runs underneath it, puts it in for 6.
And that put the Shreveport Pirates ahead, and were it not for the play of Gerald Alphen, who has scored all 3 touchdowns, they might have an even bigger margin.
He really has. Gerald Alphen had 3 touchdowns. He's had 4 catches. His 4th didn't make it, but this is one that did make it. He got it into the end zone, and it's the one thing. It's a bend but don't break attitude from the Shreveport Pirates as far as giving up some big plays, but they are in ahead of this game by 1 point going in.
And I'm sure in the dressing room at halftime, as Matt Dunnigan alluded to when he was talking with Scott, Cal Murphy is telling Keithan McCant, don't turn it over.
Well, I think it's very important. Be patient, run your possession drives, and just see what you can do, because you get good results if you keep the ball in your own hands.
The Pirates lead by 1 as we get set for the second half. Scott?
Pirates didn't look out of place against the Bombers at Winnipeg Stadium a week ago tonight, nor do they today. Clearly not with the score we have right now. They're ahead by 1. The CFL on CBC returns to Shreveport, Louisiana in just a moment.
Welcome back to Independence Stadium, where the Shreveport Pirates, looking for their first ever CFL win after 13 consecutive losses, will be kicking off to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to start the second half. The league record for the longest winless streak is 16. That was set by Hamilton, October 17th, 1948 to September 2nd, 1950. Nathaniel Bolton on the kickoff return is upended as he gets to the 37-yard line. That's where Winnipeg will scrimmage 1st and 10. The 25-yard run back by Bolton. Some final words of instruction for Keithan McCant before he goes out for his first offensive series of the second half. 3 touchdown passes, but those 3 INTs have been the Bombers' downfall.
I think Cal Murphy's suggestion would be very simple. Make first downs, don't turn the ball over. Very simple, black and white.
Jamie Holland comes wide left. Nathaniel Bolton lines up to the right. Hand off to Blaze Bryant, and he'll get maybe a yard, not much more. Alphen, 4 catches, 3 touchdowns.
Spread it around just enough after that it makes the defense really have to try to respect and play other guys, but they do really now have to start looking and concentrating on Gerald Alphen. Unfortunately, when you do concentrate on a guy like that, you got the guy on the other side of the slot named Wilcox, who will absolutely kill you if you don't pay attention to him.
And Wilcox hasn't had a reception so far this afternoon. He's the Bomber leader with 85, second in the CFL. This is going to be a first down as Nathaniel Bolton, or at least it will be close to a first down depending upon the spot, but it looks as though he should have it. And he does.
And Nathaniel Bolton does an excellent job. Sure-handed receiver coming across the middle. Knows there's an opportunity that he's going to get really struck hard. Goes up in traffic, catches the ball, is able to wrestle the ball away from the cornerback Johnson, and also pick up the first down in the process.
Bolton played 12 games last year before being sidelined by heart problems. Down the sidelines for Wilcox, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10. These are the statistics through 30 minutes of today's football game. 3 Winnipeg turnovers were crucial in the first half. Winnipeg had better than a 2-1 edge in time of possession after the first quarter.
Shreveport was able to pick up a little time of possession in that second quarter.
Dumped off in a hurry for Johnston, and McCant missed him with the throw. He was being pressured by Ron Perry.
Dan Daniels has worked with this defensive front seven, and that is one of the guys, Ron Perry, who he's very excited about being able to make some plays. He's 6'3", about 235, and he's just from down the road in Grambling, and they turn out an incredible amount of great football players.
Grambling has really been a football factory under the legendary Eddie Robinson. Terry Smith takes the third down punt. Got away from Bobby Evans, but is going to lose yards as he's chased back to about the 13-yard line. And this is something that Forrest Gregg was lamenting, the play of the Shreveport Pirates throughout the year on special teams. He says it's been a problem since the start of the season. That was a 39-yard punt, but Terry Smith lost 10 yards in the attempted return.
Well, the thing that happens a lot of times, and great punt returners will do it, they'll give up yardage to try to get to the wall, and that's exactly what he was trying to do, is to get behind the wall. Fortunately and unfortunately for him, the Winnipeg special teams are some of the best in this league, and they just didn't allow him to do that and shut him down for the loss.
First and 10, Shreveport. The Pirates are at their own 14. Fake inside to Benjamin. Johnson's sideline pattern incomplete, intended for Walker. Even had he made the catch, he was out of bounds. There's also a penalty flag in the play.
That's a late flag, so it may be unnecessary roughness.
These are the people Johnson has thrown the ball to this afternoon. A holding penalty was called against Butch Hadnot. The penalty is declined by Winnipeg. It will be 2nd and 10. Walker has scored a touchdown and has been the busiest receiver, catching 4 passes for 103 yards. As you mentioned earlier, Dan, Wayne Walker spent time with the Ottawa Rough Riders, a product of Texas Tech. Intended for Thompson, and Thompson got turned around and trying to make the catch and was belted as he was reaching for the football by Darrell Sampson. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers should get the ball back in pretty good field position. Johnson was with BC in 1992, was out of football in 1993, went to the Saskatchewan Rough Rider training camp, was a cut. They decided instead to keep Warren Jones. Contacted several other teams looking for employment. Wound up playing in the Arena Football League for a couple of games.
Guys that want to play football will go anywhere to play football. As he said, he was trying to make calls to get on anywhere, and he finally has an opportunity here at Shreveport.
Another excellent kick by Canner. Penalty flag on the play, and we talked about the problems the Shreveport Pirates have had on special teams well inside the 5-yard area after a 55-yard kick. Well, Forrest Gregg was really upset. I'm not sure which player he was most annoyed with. Maybe it was Anthony Shelton, who was called for the no yards, but the man who was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1977 was not happy. He was really upset as he was yelling at Shelton.
I think that may be a little bit of that attitude of that offensive guard for Green Bay that made the great block against the Dallas Cowboy, allowed Bart Starr to go in on a quarterback sneak and win the Super Bowl.
First and 10, Winnipeg. The ball is at the 44. Chris Johnson, the ball carrier, and Johnson continues to power his way down to the 42-yard line.
Johnson, the ball carrier.
Well, they said we would have some heavy rain during the course of the day. The way it poured last night, I would have thought those were empties going back for a refill, but I think they've returned and they're coming this way again, full of rain. It has begun to fall again here at Independence Stadium. Hopefully it won't be as heavy as it was earlier. Intended for Wilcox. Almost intercepted by the safety, Anthony Shelton.
The young quarterback just doesn't have quite the experience yet of when he's going to sprint out to stop and throw back to really look that quarterback off. Now he looks back and he gives a big, long look, so the safety, Shelton, has a chance to jump back on the ball. And the halfback, Don Brooks, does a really good job of really filtering Wilcox down inside, so the safety does have an opportunity to make the play on the ball.
2nd and 10. Daniel Bolton. And this would be a 49-yard field goal attempt for Troy Westwood.
And this is certainly within his range, Whit. His longest has been 57 for this year.
He had a 57-yard field goal 2 weeks ago against the BC Lions.
Between the 40 and 49, he is 6 for 8 this year.
He was only 5 of his first 12 field goal tries. Coming into this game, 26 of 30 of his last 30, but he missed his last field goal try. This will be a 50-yard attempt. There's going to be a delay of game penalty against Winnipeg. The problem was, I think Winnipeg had enough players out there.
Well, it's either that or they're making the change right now. They
violation. Winnipeg number 6. Third down repeated.
They may have decided that because the wind has picked up a little in velocity that they would take the 5-yard penalty because Westwood would have been trying to kick the field goal right into the wind.
But I think you're exactly right. As you look up there, that American flag is going pretty stiff, going right into the face of Troy Westwood. And I think at this time, Cal Murphy just decided to take it back, let Bob Cameron kick it for another one of those 50,000-mile kicks that he makes. And he is something else. He is one of the best punters into the wind that there has been in the CFL.
No one handles adverse weather conditions better than Bob Cameron. And this kick will pin the Shreveport Pirates up back in their own goal line. The ball comes loose, and Winnipeg has got it. Blaze Bryant comes up with the football, a 44-yard kick. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, opting to punt rather than try a field goal of 50 yards, are rewarded as Blaze Bryant comes up with the loose ball as David Lucas lost control of it.
David Lucas tries to make a couple of moves, but this really tenacious special team of Winnipeg strips it out. And that looks like that's number 43. That's Kevin Robson. It looked like may have got his right hand on it, pulled the ball loose. And then the star running back is the guy down there covering it and recovers the fumble.
They spot the ball just inside the 5. It's first and goal Winnipeg. The toss to Blaze Bryant, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. Mario Perry came up to make the tackle. A loss of almost 4 yards. It will be second and goal Winnipeg from the 9.
Solid outside play. Watch Perry. Now he comes up, he takes on the block, keeps his outside arm and leg free. Then he's able to fall off of the block, pursue down the line of scrimmage, and make the tackle for a loss against Blaze Bryant.
Perry fought off the block of Chris Johnstone to get through to drop Bryant for a loss of 4. It will be second and goal from the 9. End zone, touchdown. Who else?
And what a catch by Gerald Alphen. One-hand stab.
4 touchdown receptions for Gerald Alphen. The 12th player in CFL history to get 4 touchdowns on pass receptions in one game. And he isn't finished yet. Still 8:52 remaining in the third quarter.
A lot of time left in this thing. But here's where it starts to help you out as far as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Your offense is sputtering somewhat during the course. Now your defense comes up big. Your special teams comes up big. You give Keith and McCann, the young quarterback, more opportunity to make something happen. And when you got guys to throw to like Gerald Alphen, your chances of making something happen are pretty good.
What a fine end zone grab by Gerald Alphen. That equals the 4 touchdown performance of Alfred Jackson in the second game of the season when Jackson caught 7 passes for 308 yards.
Fucking wake up with that goddamn He does exactly what you want.
So Gerald Alphen has produced a 4 touchdown afternoon for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. They have the lead as Troy Westwood attempts the point after. And with 8:29 remaining in the third quarter, the Bombers are in front by 6 points. 28-22 they lead. They had a tough struggle last Saturday against these same Shreveport Pirates. They were only leading 25-16 at halftime.
Sprint throwback. All he has to do is sit there and let Gerald Alphen work one-on-one against Joe Fuller, who also has some CFL experience, lobs the ball out there, and just a perfect, picturesque one-handed jab. Great catch. Solid concentration for an excellent receiver.
And that time, Alfin didn't even bother with the dance.
I think not. I think at this point, after 4, I think he realized either that or he's getting tired.
Well, the rain was falling a few minutes ago. It has eased off, but those very ominous-looking clouds are continuing to roll in. Some parts of this area had up to 4 inches of rain overnight. You see how the wind is having an effect. The ball hangs up there. Scott fields it and is brought down at the 45-yard line. So the Shreveport Pirates will scrimmage at that point with 8:26 remaining in the third quarter.
Credit the smarts of wily Graying veteran Bob Cameron for the touchdown that has the Bombers in front by 6 now on Troy Westwood's 50-yard field goal attempt. He knew the wind was gusting too strongly, and so he looked over at Cal Murphy to ask if he should hold for the field goal, and Cal Murphy waved it off, so Cameron punted it, and the turnover in the score zone has produced the Bomber lead. Don?
40-year-old veteran with a wise decision, and this is Lucas on the receiving end of the throw from Johnson for a first down. Hatch made the tackle.
That decision may help that old guy keep a little job security for the remainder of the year at 40 years old. What do you think, Whit?
As long as he wants to kick and that leg is in shape, I think he'll be back there for Winnipeg.
These are the kind of pass routes right now that Mike Johnson needs to be taking advantage of. They're out there, they're open, and he's got a strong enough arm to deliver it. Keep the possession, keep the clock moving, keep the ball out of Keithan McCann's hands.
Sends 3 receivers wide left. He said one of the advantages of sending 3 receivers wide to the left, you get a pre-snap read.
Well, what he's trying to say is if he takes the slot back from one side, waggles him across the formation, if the defense is in man coverage on the other side, they're going to either waggle that halfback, the defensive back, across the formation with him, or rotate the safety up. So then you know before you get underneath the center and take the snap that they're in man-to-man coverage, so you know at the snap of the ball what to expect and probably predetermine where you're going to go with the ball.
Walker was the target at 2nd and 10. Ball is at the Winnipeg 53. Pressure from the backside. Gibbons got to him. The ball comes loose. Winnipeg claims they've got it. They have. Rob Davidson was there to recover, but it was Gibbons coming from the backside that jarred the ball away from Mike Johnson.
Quarterbacks are so vulnerable from this position. The backside, Gibbons is wide open. No one blocks him. He comes in, puts the helmet right in the middle of the shoulder blades, takes Mike Johnson down. The ball goes loose with it, and Winnipeg comes up with possession.
That's something that Johnson was talking about yesterday. He said Winnipeg is so active with their linebackers, and you never know where the blitz is coming from. Chris Johnson will pick up about 7 yards. Mike Johnson said that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers haven't really changed their style since he was with BC in 1992. He said only the personnel has changed at the linebacking position.
Well, that's the great thing about that. Historically, Winnipeg has always had great linebackers back from the days of Tyrone Jones and James West.
2nd down, and Johnson is not going to get the first down. It was 2nd and 3 Winnipeg, and he was stacked up by Ron Perry. Perry had a brief stint with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers after coming to the CFL from Philadelphia.
Very slow developing play, but great penetration that time. But that's number 34. That's Ron Perry that gets in there, slows up Chris Johnstone, and then the pursuit, he just holds on. The pursuit cleans it up and forces Troy Westwood now to try a 50-yard field goal.
And the surprising thing, why would you try the 50-yard field goal now? The
wind's still blowing exactly the same as it was before.
Well, it isn't going to affect Troy Westwood. He puts it through.
See, this is why Coach Murphy's such a great coach. He knew if he pulled Troy Westwood off the first time, it would really upset him and get him mad. So he went out there and took a little aggression out in there. So 50 yards into the win.
And Cal Murphy smiles as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers move into a 31-22 lead. But the big play was the one made by Reggie Gibbons in dropping quarterback Mike Johnson for a loss. And it's been turnovers in the second half that have hurt the Shreveport Pirates as they were damaging the offensive attack of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the first half.
It's been turnovers that have hurt the Shreveport Pirates all year long. And the giveaway, takeaway, they are minus 32. Means they've taken away 28 times, and they've given the ball away 60 times.
Screen pass to Patton, and Gibbons, with that deceptive speed, as Cal Murphy refers to it, gets over to make the tackle.
Reggie Gibbons with the tackle for Winnipeg.
Excellent compliment to this young linebacker to be able to cover these guys one-on-one out of the backfield. If you're able to do that with your linebacker, it allows you to do so many other things defensively to put pressure on quarterbacks.
Ticking down to 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Winnipeg 31-22 leading Shreveport. Biggest advantage that the Blue Bombers have enjoyed in this football game. Second and 8. Penalty flag goes down as the pass falls incomplete. It was intended for Terry Smith.
Take it back with holding against Shreveport. Even if that ball was caught, it hit right off the chest of number 88, Terry Smith.
Shreveport number 20. Penalties line, third down.
The holding call was against Butch Hadnot. The penalty declined by Winnipeg with the incomplete pass. 4:45 the time remaining as Aaron Canner lines up in punt formation. He had difficulty handling the snap from center, still managed to get the kick away as Stan Miklas came up the middle. And now Nathaniel Bolton goes down at the 37-yard line. Canner was fortunate to get the kick away, and he got away a 42-yarder.
You may get lucky at Independence Stadium in Shreveport. Looks like the dark storm clouds are blowing by the stadium, and 10 unanswered points have the Bombers in front here in the third quarter. If you were the head coach of the heavily favored team trailing by 1 at the half, would you blow up in the locker room? Cal Murphy was calm, cool, and collected and told his players, we've come this far with Keith and McCann as our starting quarterback. Let's bear down and win this game and limit the turnovers, and they have done in the second half.
And they have forced 2 Shreveport turnovers that have resulted in the 10 points. On first down, the toss to Blaze Bryant, and he will pick up about 3 yards. Scott talked about the rain hopefully bypassing Independence Stadium. On August the 20th, Shreveport lost 30-26 to Hamilton. Tremendous rain and winds that resulted in about a 35 to 40 minute delay in the course of that game. They even emptied the press box because of the strong winds. They were saying you couldn't see the stands on the other side of the field because of the heavy rain.
Well, you know, this game doesn't get called for anything, but to take them off the field, it had to be some type of torrential downpour.
Jamie Witherspoon, the middle linebacker, is the injured Shreveport player.
Scott had mentioned about Coach Murphy, you know, not blowing up at halftime, and we talked about at the beginning about that 1981 Grey Cup event, about being behind against a team that you're expected to beat. There wasn't a lot of upset, a lot of frustration, a lot of anger that went in at that halftime also. It was a matter of going in and saying, listen, go out there for the next 30 minutes and do exactly what got you here. And I think that's the kind of attitude that the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have taken. Go out there and play the way that you're capable of playing, the way that has gotten you into a tie for first place at this time, and then the end results will take care of themselves. Good look at Mike Roach there, defensive coach, talking with his players, giving a little inspiration, telling them, listen, get the ball back again, and this guy will make something else happen.
He was looking for Gerald Alphen, but the problem with Alphen that play, he wasn't anywhere near the end zone. So on 2nd and 3, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are forced to kick it away. Alphen with 4 touchdown receptions, the league record set by another member of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 1959. Ernie Pitts had 5 in a game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders on August 29th, 1959.
Probably trying to be candid, but I don't think Alvin's he's not going to catch it unless he's in the end zone, and then he'll catch it for the touchdown. He's not going to catch it 30, 40 yards out and want to run it in. I think he just wants to get into the end zone, catch it, do the dance, go on the sideline, and this is what I get paid to do.
5 catches for 73 yards, 4 touchdowns. As I mentioned at the start of our telecast, he does not have a 100-yard receiving game this season.
Yeah, he's got 97 touchdowns, but he still hasn't got, you know, a 100-yard reception. And hopefully that's not the criteria for making great receivers, because that guy is certainly one.
Well, Gerald Alphen, with his 4 touchdown catches today, has moved within 1 of the league leader, Alan Pitts of the Calgary Stampeders, and we'll get to see Pitts in action on Thanksgiving Monday, as the Calgary Stampeders are at home to the Ottawa Roughriders, and we'll be in Calgary to bring you network coverage of that game. Bob Cameron stands at his own 27-yard line for this 3rd down punt with 3:30 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Another good kick into the wind. Lucas takes it at the 28-yard line and isn't going to go any further. Cameron, as he has done so often during his career, has punted very well into the wind, and that was a 42-yarder with no return.
Anytime you have guys like Brendan Rodgers and Chris Sangaris covering on the team down there, they're going to make something happen. These guys are the epitome of the Suicide Squad. They go down there, throw their body in. They have no respect for their body whatsoever. They make the tackles, get the job done, and that is one of the reasons why Winnipeg is such a good football team.
Bob Cameron today is playing in his 253rd CFL game. Passing the ball carrier, picks up about 2 before being stopped at the 30-yard line. Cameron with 253 games. Miles Gurrell, 281. Chris Walby playing in his 212th. Those 3 players have more CFL experience than the entire Shreveport roster. Second and 7 for the Pirates. Fans were pretty enthused during the second quarter when the Pirates got back on even terms, but they're a little quieter now. Johnson gets away from pressure but throws incomplete. Nowhere near the man he was looking downfield for, Terry Moss. Tony Moss make it.
I think the main thing all he wanted to do was get rid of that ball, because he knew as long as he was holding that ball, Kelly Rush was just barreling in on him and just put him right on the ground. And Mike Johnson is just a little slow getting off the ground. Good coverage in the secondary and good pressure up front. That's Rob Davison getting the first bit of heat, and then right at the last minute, the takedown by Kelly Rush, the defensive end out of Florida State.
Rob Davidson, primarily a backup out of the University of Toronto, had a big game last week against Shreveport with a couple of quarterback sacks, a couple of defensive tackles. Boyko handles the punt, takes it to the 52-yard line, tackled there by Shelton with 2:03 remaining in the 3rd quarter. Winnipeg in front, 31-22. Tom Porras, the backup quarterback, on the sidelines as final instructions are given to Keithan McCant. He hasn't called many audibles this afternoon. And I think one of the final words of advice from Cal Murphy is stick with the play that is originally called. Cal is calling most of the plays.
Well, I think the reason also is that the defense that Shreveport has to run is pretty, what we call in terminology, vanilla. It's plain. They're not doing a lot of stunting. They're not doing a lot of blitzing. They can't give you a lot of fronts because this is such a young defense. They're just trying to learn the first names of the guys that they're lining up beside, as opposed to doing a lot of different things defensively. So it makes it really easy for young quarterbacks. So this is a great learning process for Keithan McCant.
There's the veteran of the Shreveport Pirates as far as CFL experience is concerned, Greg Stuman. The handoff to Blaze Bryant on 2nd and 3, and he gets a first down, taking it to the 45-yard line. 1 minute remaining in the 3rd quarter. And although the wind didn't affect the punting of Bob Cameron in this third quarter or the 50-yard field goal of Troy Westwood, the Bombers will have the breeze at their back over the final 15 minutes.
Well, if it's 50 into the win, a record could be broken in the fourth quarter.
The Bombers sticking on the ground as Chris Johnson picks up what appears to be another Winnipeg first down. Primarily a blocking back, he has delivered when called upon to run the ball this afternoon.
I remember Chris Johnstone when he started his career at the Edmonton Eskimos, and he was just a tremendous back then. He is one of those guys, Coach Murphy says, this guy is a man. He goes out there, he gives you 200% on every play. He works hard, and he makes you play.
McCann fumbled the snap from center, but is able to pick it up. He goes down back at the 42-yard line on what should be the final play of the third quarter. The ball is back at the 42. It will be 2nd and 17. But apparently there is time for one more play before the third quarter comes to an end. Talking about Cal Murphy calling the plays for Keith and McCann, Cal was saying, I call all the ones that are successful.
Well, absolutely. That's why he's the head coach.
I think McCann called this one on his own, and he called Gerald Alphin's number, and Gerald Alphin will be very close to a first down if, in fact, he doesn't have it. It will depend on where he was forced out of bounds. Baskerville was there to force the man who has scored 4 touchdowns out of bounds, but I think he's got a first down. I think the threat of rain and the heavy overnight downpour has reduced the crowd numbers at Independence Stadium this afternoon. They aren't anywhere near the average of 17,000 who usually show up. Troy Westwood with a field goal attempt as Alphin was taken out of bounds about 3 yards short of the first down on the final play of the third quarter, and it's a 34-yard field goal for Troy Westwood as the Bombers now move in front by 12 points. So Winnipeg opens the fourth quarter with a Troy Westwood field goal and a 12-point advantage. Looking at the schedule in the final 4 games of the season for Shreveport, they play Sacramento, Calgary, Toronto, and Ottawa.
14 minutes left. We'll be back in Canada in no time. I love the CFL.
They're catching a charter flight right after the game, heading back to Winnipeg. He probably has dinner reservations somewhere in Winnipeg for the evening.
Shreveport 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line, and down goes Johnson, tackled by Lloyd Lewis.
This is going to be the kind of defense that's not going to give you the big play, so you've got to come back and start taking exactly what they are going to give you, the short stuff. Dump it quick. They're not going to let you throw the ball deep. And there's a guy, Lloyd Lewis, who's just had a tremendous season. That is his 8th sack of the season. Came into this game, and he is 32 years old, playing it the way the young kids play.
Maybe you should think about a comeback.
I did, and then I laid down for a while, and that feeling went away.
2nd and 15, intended for Benjamin. Givens makes the interception. Oh, did Givens ever show some good speed in getting back to cover Benjamin about 30 yards upfield? Cal said he has deceptive speed. He said he reminds me a lot of the way a Mervyn Fernandez runs. You don't think he's really moving quickly, but he can run.
He sure gets from A to B, and you see that his head's dropped and the panic speed. You can almost call pass interference call with that right hand going up into the face of Benjamin, but then he has the presence of mind. Once the ball comes loose and it gets up in the air, locates the ball, concentrates, takes it away from Benjamin, and turns the ball over to Keith and McCann.
A big hit by Givens, an interception by the new linebacker. And on 1st and 10, Jamie Holland is the target of Keith and McCann, covered by Baskerville. It will be 2nd and 10 Winnipeg. The ball is at the 47-yard line.
Scott, the defensive lineman, they had a lot of time to get up into Keith McCann's face and force him to throw that ball off balance. Good side of look of Ray Savage, the defensive end. Now, these guys aren't big, as I'm saying. He's 6'2", 240 pounds. Greg Stuman's about 6'1", 235. Scott inside is 266, and Williams is only 258. So these aren't really overpowering sized men.
Johnson on the draw play. He'll be close to a first down.
It's exactly the kind of weather and the kind of football game that a guy like Chris Johnstone loves. He knows he's going to get an opportunity to carry the ball. It's a muddy track, and he's a mudder, and he makes a lot of things happen out there. Give the ball to him, and he gives you 200% effort every time he touches the ball.
5 carries for 49 yards for Chris Johnstone, and they're going to have to measure this to see if he picked up a first down. Johnston was in the camp of the Edmonton Eskimos when they had a plethora of outstanding blocking backs.
What did you
You're
say?
a little puzzled at that one, are you? They had a lot of them.
Where's my fucking Wagnall at? I got it here somewhere. I'm going to take a look at that. Is that anything like a cubby? Like they would say down here, that's a whole bunch, right?
On third and about a yard, they're going after it, and Keith and McCann should have the first down. Yeah, Edmonton for a spell there had Blake Marshall, Sean Millington, they had Chris Johnston.
Certainly did.
A whole bunch of others.
And it's awfully tough to get into that lineup there. And once you get an opportunity to get in there, a lot of those guys never got their jobs back again, as I said. Edmonton has been blessed with great running backs, great receivers.
Michael Souls, Ryan Walling, a couple of others who come to mind. On the first down play, Greg Stuman is there to make the tackle on Johnston. 11:45 remaining in the football game. Winnipeg leading by a score of 34-22. Makes the catch. First down Winnipeg as he takes it out of bounds at the 41. Joe Fuller came over to make the tackle.
He picks up 4 touchdowns for you. You need a big first down. He's the go-to guy. Good quick break, outside read. Now this is a read that Keith and McCann was having some problems with because they normally like to run an out by the wide out and an out from the inside receiver. Keith and McCann had some problems, as I said. So then what they did, they would just run the outside guy on the jet straight up the sideline, run the inside guy on the out, and they pick up a first down.
McCann's pass intended for Alphen, deflected, incomplete. Fuller managed to get a hand on it. Last week against Shreveport, Gerald Wilcox was the go-to guy. 11 catches for 151 yards. Alphen only had 1 catch for 5 yards. Today, Alphen has been the go-to guy. 7 passes for 97 yards and 4 touchdowns.
These guys hurt you, and this is what Winnipeg has had historically also with linebackers, great receivers, and a quarterback that spreads it across the field. It makes it so tough to defend against these guys.
Shreveport was able to defend against Blaze Bryant on second down. He picked up maybe 1 before being stacked up in the middle by Williams. 10:43 remaining in the ball game, and Troy Westwood will attempt another field goal. This will be a 47-yard try by Westwood. He was 6 of 6 against Shreveport last week. Westwood last year established a Winnipeg Blue Bomber Club record with 209 points. This field goal attempt is wide. Terry Smith in the end zone is going to, initially it looked, try and run it out, and then he goes down to concede the single point. That's with 10:21 remaining in the ball game. Winnipeg 35-22.
Winnipeg looking good with a 13-point lead and the wind at their back in the fourth quarter. There's Miles Gorell. Shreveport's Fred Childress is so big. It's been said that Gorell could hide behind him, and maybe he could in the crouch position. Childress is 6'3", probably about 360, and Gorell is 6'8", 345. You time yourself with a sundial running around these two guys, and one CFL coach said, Don, that Gorell's so big that he's the only player in the league taking a 5-point stance. I don't want to say who he was, but his initials were Bobobilovich.
Mike Johnson loses control of the football, and Randolph was there, so was Dal Lyles, but they couldn't come up with it as the Shreveport quarterback got to the ball.
He was very, very fortunate as the ball slipped out of his hands, and then he was able to recover his own fumble. But if you can imagine, this starts to shift quivers down my back right now, because that's the sight that I used to see when I used to play middle linebacker. That's how I looked up at him and the size of that man. I tell you what, he covers a lot of area. It's like an eclipse goes in front of you and all the sun disappears.
Yeah, he can block out the sun. No question about it.
And he can block when he wants to. Just pure out block. He can put you right on your back.
I'm not so sure about 345 pounds either. Sideline pass intended for Walker, incomplete, but there is a penalty flag around the 50-yard line, and that could be pass interference. 9:38. Sorry, Dan.
It looked like when Patton and also Paul Randolph got locked up one-on-one this time, and some contact took place, and they may be calling Paul Randolph on a pass interference call.
Illegal contact on an eligible receiver. Winnipeg 36. 10-yard penalty. Second down repeated.
Dal Lyles was really upset about something, and his teammates are forced to restrain him.
You know, those linebackers are usually normally very even kill kind of people out there on the field anyway, aren't they? Whip?
I've spent too much time around you to reply in the...
Here's the guy that'll he'll comment down when he goes on the sidelines over there. Coach Murphy will go over, maybe just have just a small little conversation, and it will be very much to the point.
Yeah, he wanted to get him out of there to settle him down a little, and now Johnson runs for a first down. Chris Sangaris came in to replace Dal Lyles.
That's the only problem that I see. I mean, I see a lot of problems out there with Shreveport, but one, this is a really good athlete back there, and you should utilize that running ability. Not when running just because you're scared and you're being chased out of the pocket, but run the ball when you can to try to set up and put more pressure on the defense and try to pick up first downs. Make them respect you somewhat, and it's going to open up your throwing and your running game with the running backs.
Johnson told us yesterday that he would try and be patient. The pass is complete to Hill, and he should have a first down, but there is a penalty flag back at the line of scrimmage. Smith came over to make the tackle on Hill.
Take it back. It's holding against Shreveport.
Holding. Shreveport number 62. 10-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Now that's a head coach, an ex-offensive lineman, probably stating to the fact that he knows those offensive line guys don't hold down there in the pits.
Mike Stoll, the center, was guilty of holding, and this afternoon Forrest Gregg has done a lot of pacing at the Shreveport bench.
You don't think there's not
any... been very animated as well.
You don't think there's not any intensity in that head coach, but you better pack the lunch, because it'll take you all day to fight with him.
First and 20. Johnson buys some time. He's throwing deep, looking for Hill. Who's got it? Intercepted by Winnipeg, as Lawrence Hatch comes up with the interception. Well, in 2 games against Shreveport, Hatch now has 3 interceptions, and another second-half turnover might just eliminate any hope the Pirates have.
8:01 to go in the fourth quarter in Shreveport. Bombers nicely in control, and the award for the most family members in attendance at Independence Stadium today goes to number 33, Bobby Evans. He's got about 24 people here from his immediate family. There's his mother, Emma, has never seen her son play professional football before, so this is an opportunity of a lifetime today for her. Got an interception early in the game and made sure she got the ball. And Don, up about 10 rows behind the Evans contingent is Gerald Alphin's parents. They drove 10 hours from Atlanta to get here for this game today.
Yes, a lot of players with family in this area have been forced to buy extra tickets for the game. Keithan McCant runs with the ball for about 8 yards. The interception by Bobby Evans early in the game led to Winnipeg points. In total, the Blue Bombers have picked up 18 points as the result of turnovers. Bobby Evans with one of 3 Winnipeg interceptions. Keithan McCant was also intercepted 3 times, all in the first half.
That shows you what a great defensive back Bobby Evans is. He's got his back turned, good peripheral vision, but he can always take a look and see where Cal Murphy is as he's talking to people in the stands. There's still 8 minutes to go in this game, and it's not under control right now until they may have to score at the end to put it out of reach.
Blaze Bryant on the draw play gets a first down. And right now, the time clock is the enemy of the Shreveport Pirates, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are attempting to use it to their advantage, leading by 13, and trying to use as much time as possible before running every play.
The Shreveport defense has had some success against the rush, and this is what Winnipeg needs to do to keep the clock running. Rush the ball, so hopefully for Shreveport, they're thinking, if we can stop them here, get the ball back into the hands, we've got a chance to do something.
Pass is complete to Gerald Alphin, and he was wrapped up immediately after a gain of maybe 5 yards, depending on the spot, by Joe Fuller. Fuller spent some time in the CFL with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. He was also with Ottawa in 1993.
And he has 5 picks. He's a very active. Bobby's holding court over there right now. He's introducing each one of the family members, member by member, to the whole team, I think.
Blaze Bryant provides Winnipeg with another first down. There's a penalty flag in the play. Gerald Alphin, by the way, for the first time this season, has gone over 100 yards.
Solid performer. I tell you what, the 2 bookends that they have.
Winnipeg number 66. After yards were gained for a first down. It's a 10-yard penalty. First down.
The holding call against Miles Gurrell, playing in his 281st CFL game, number 3 on the all-time list, behind Lou Pasaglia of the BC Lions and Ron Lancaster, the coach of the Edmonton Eskimos. Pasaglia, in 19 seasons, has played 295 games. Gurrell this season moved past Roger Aldag into the number 3 position. Won't catch Ron Lancaster this year. He has indicated that he's going to be back for another shot next year. Penalty flag as McCant is flushed out of the pocket. He has some room on the left side, chased by Williams, and he wisely runs out of bounds, but he's short of a first down.
And unfortunately, the way that field is over there, where they had to make the addition for the Canadian Football League width, is all muddy, where the high school field was playing just inside of that, and he just could not plant his foot to turn up to get inside of the yardstick.
All that muddy area is where the team benches are for the high school games. Right. And last night, with the heavy downpour, of course, with players walking back and forth in that area, standing on that sideline.
Winnipeg number 86, 5-yard penalty, first down repeated.
The illegal procedure call against Winnipeg, but you see the marker for the American field inside that muddy area, and with the use the field gets here at Independence Stadium, when you get rain such as fell in Shreveport last night, you are going to have some problems with the condition of the field.
There was a high school game Thursday night, a high school game Friday night, and then obviously we're seeing the condition that it's in on Saturday afternoon.
Plays Bryant coming out of the backfield, takes the ball up near the 45-yard line, close to a first down. Bryant has had quite an afternoon.
What a great effort that time as he just catches the swing pass out of the backfield. Takes a look at it, sees that there's a guy between he and the first down marker, and that's Bakersfield that was there, and he just lowers the shoulder and just puts the boom on him and picks up the first down. Great effort.
3 receptions for 43 yards. And he's run the ball for 85 more. First down Winnipeg at the 45-yard line, 4:38 remaining. With Winnipeg in front 35-22. The Bombers charter home immediately after the game. And their next game is against another expansion franchise, Las Vegas Posse, next Saturday.
Well, if they can't find a really clean ball that they want to play with, maybe they'll go talk to Mrs. Evans up in the stands. She'll let go of that one for a little bit, only if she's going to get it back.
Well, that's one of the problems. The Pirates were throwing footballs up into the stands when they scored first-half touchdowns. And the ball supply that they began the game with has obviously become depleted. It's not much of a problem when you're playing on a dry field.
I can tell you what, it's a good thing Gerald Alpin wasn't throwing the balls up in the stands. We would be out there playing with some imaginary whipple ball or something.
Johnstone got to the line of scrimmage and then was driven back. Nash is the man who made the initial contact with him. Nash made his first start in the CFL on the 20th of August against Hamilton. He's from Georgia Southern. A lot of football played in the Shreveport area. Grambling, about an hour's drive down the I-20. Louisiana Tech, where Matt Dunnigan went to school, close to Grambling, and then Northeast Louisiana, just a little further along the I-20.
Tracy Ham from Georgia Southern. Great quarterback.
Another completion for Keithan McCants. And again, Joe Fuller is over there to wrap up Gerald Alpin. Looks like he's about a yard short of a first down.
Well, it's amazing. Just when they get in that certain area that you can see right on your screen, it's just unbelievable. Try to keep your footing in that.
Kelly Rush congratulating Gerald Alpin as he comes off to the sidelines, and Alpin looks up into the stands where his family is sitting.
You know what, Coach Murphy would be probably pretty smart if you start flying in the family every game, huh? I don't think so.
You think he's going to blow the bucket?
I don't think Coach Murphy's going to dip into the deal for that one. Nope, he's got to stay with the salary cap and the budget. You know how Coach Murphy is.
Bob Cameron's third down punt as the Bombers take no chances. Bobbled momentarily by Lucas, and then he's surrounded at the 15-yard line with 3:19 remaining in the ball game. That was a 46-yard kick by Cameron, only 5 yards on the return.
In Shreveport, Louisiana, the Bombers are nicely in control against the Pirates with 3:19 to go in the fourth quarter. Coming up tomorrow on the CFL on CBC. Edmonton Eskimos at Arborwind Stadium in Hamilton to play the Ticats. The Cats still have playoff hopes, but the Eskimos will be in a surly mood, having lost last week to BC, Don.
Yes, they will be in a surly mood, and Mike Johnson is having a very tough second half as he's chased into the end zone by Greg Clark, got the pass away. He has only passed for 15 yards in the second half. He had such a solid first half. I'm sure there were expectations that maybe, at long last, the Pirates would win a football game.
Well, I think he got himself into tough situations again. They got behind, and then all of a sudden they get second and long, and he's going for the home run ball a lot. This Winnipeg defense is not going to give you that ball. They gave it to him once, obviously, but you've got to nickel and dime this kind of defense.
Thompson makes the catch. He's caught immediately by Sampson, well short of a first down. So it will be 3rd and 7 when we come back with 2:39 remaining at Independence Stadium. 35-22, the Blue Bombers lead Shreveport. If they manage to hang on to this 13-point advantage or increase their edge, They will move into a tie for first place with the Baltimore CFLers. Winners last night over Las Vegas. The two teams have clinched playoff berths in the CFL Eastern Division. And they have a big showdown coming up at Memorial Stadium in Baltimore on the 29th of this month. Boyko takes the ball back at the midfield stripe. He wisely goes down, and there is a penalty flag on the play. Boyko simply concentrating on hanging on the football. He wasn't trying to make any additional yards. And those punts that can hang up in the wind can sometimes be difficult to field.
Boyko does it extremely well. Great concentration, as you said. All he wanted to do, squeeze it.
Illegal block. Winnipeg number 69. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Rob Davidson called for the illegal block. But Boyko's versatility is one of the things that has earned him employment with the Blue Bombers. A punt returner, a kickoff returner. He has played wide out. He has played a slot back position. He's even played some defensive back.
And he can play a running back. So that is the thing. He has really upped the worth of his stock. And Coach Murphy really enjoys having that kind of player as part of his organization.
Blaze Bryant trying to turn the corner. And Jimmy Witherspoon, the middle linebacker, was able to run him down.
Solid pursuit that time by that young defense there. Not big size, but great speed. And then when they get there, they make Blaze Bryant play a little bit. Boom, good shot right there. That's Mario Perry. And he goes about 6'2", 225 out of the University of Massachusetts.
Blue Bombers on the road for back-to-back games. Today in Shreveport, next Saturday in Las Vegas. Shreveport at home for a pair against Winnipeg and Sacramento next week. Blaze Bryant caught by Carlton Johnson. 14 yards for Blaze Bryant.
Good solid play that time. David Black pulls around from his guard, seals off the middle linebacker, so the inside pursuit is not there again. Chris Walby takes the corner, seals it off. Blaze Bryant hits the seam right up the field, and it forces the halfback to have to come in and make the tackle late, but not before a big gain.
101 yards this afternoon for Blaze Bryant. He takes the toss again, and he breaks a couple of tackles, almost split the seam, and is brought down at the 22-yard line. That's a 22-yard run for Bryant and 123 rushing yards in this game.
That old cliche, if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it. Just come back to it. Run it again, run it again, run it again, until this defense figures out a way to stop it. If they figure out a way to stop it, you've got enough weapons in your arsenal that you can come back with something else. They may run it again for the third time in a row.
Only the second time this year that Blaze Bryant has gone over 100 rushing yards. The other occasion was his club record, 249 yards on the 17th of last month against Hamilton. Bryant slips as he tries to make the turn. It was funny this morning in talking to Coach Murphy. When we asked if Bryant was ready, he said he better be, because he assured me he could play in this football game. He better not go down early.
In this case, you better not let your mouth write a check that your legs can't cash, because he's counting on him to be able to, once he says he can get the job done, you better get it done, or else there will be some serious price to pay with Cal Murphy. Greg Stuman making an excellent play in penetration coming in.
Cal Murphy finding out just how much punishment Blaze Bryant can take, I guess, because he has been the workhorse in this second half for the Blue Bombers.
Well, let's just make sure that that knee and that leg is okay.
Gerald Wilcox comes off to the sideline saying, Coach, you ever going to call my number? He hasn't caught a pass so far this afternoon. Troy Westwood with a field goal attempt that is successful, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers now have a 38-22 lead, almost identical to their victory in the first meeting of the season between these two teams last Saturday. 39-21 the score for the Blue Bombers at home at Winnipeg Stadium. Number 12, Robert Cobb, started the game against Winnipeg, was injured in the game and replaced by Mike Johnson. And Cobb is the backup today. He played at Northeast Louisiana.
And arguably probably the best quarterback out of the three, depending on who you're talking to. But it's slowly getting a little more continuity with Coach Forrest Gregg's team. This time in both the games that they had, they've been very much in the game, had a chance that they've actually led the game as they did at halftime. And so far, it's getting better and better. Hopefully, unfortunately, the season's running out too quickly for them.
Terry Smith made the catch over on the sidelines, and Johnson took a hit just as he threw, and that drew a penalty flag. Kelly Rush.
Roughing the passer, Winnipeg number 90, 15 yards, first down.
You were involved in a game, Winnipeg and Saskatchewan, where Kelly Rush was hurt. It looked as though he was seriously injured. Fortunately for Rush and the Blue Bombers, he was not. But after coming back from the hospital after having some tests taken, a couple of days later, coaching staff were laughing. He was out hitting the practice sled and glancing at Cal Murphy's office window to see if he was watching.
Well, they had said that he had some serious neck problems, so he was out there banging his head and his neck up against the tackling dummy and the blocking sled just to show him that everything is okay. And at this point, Coach Murphy says, I don't think I can argue with that.
Benjamin is the man that Johnson was looking for, incomplete.
But he gave him the same thing that he gave Blaze Bryant. Once you've talked me into this and bringing you back, you better be ready to play.
33 seconds remaining. Winnipeg and Baltimore are going to host playoff games in the Eastern Division. It was 22-21 at halftime for Shreveport. 17 unanswered second half points for Winnipeg. On 2nd and 10. Incomplete, intended for Hill. So the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are not going to become part of a trivia question, but it looked a little shaky for some of the veterans.
But I think that's the biggest thing. The veterans and these guys that have been around and know what it's like to win, and Grey Cup champions like Chris Walby, you can see there on your left, they know that they are not playing up to the par of the kind of football that they're going to need to play, first of all, to win the Eastern Conference and probably to win the Grey Cup, which is the ultimate goal of every team.
Randolph chasing Johnson. Johnson was able to get away from the pressure, but can't. Well, he does get away from Kelly Rush, and Rush showed a pretty good burst of speed to run about halfway across the field to make a diving attempt at bringing Johnson down. And there is also a penalty flag downfield.
Coach Murphy has great praise for Kelly Rush and his ability, his athletic ability. He said, this guy is talented. He will chase you. He will run. He does it all. His problems come with some disciplinary reasons on and off the field. And from this point, when he has...
foul, rough play, disqualification. Shreveport number 65. 25-yard penalty, first down.
John Heidenreich is disqualified. And it's a 25-yard penalty with 16 seconds remaining. You talked about the discipline of Kelly Rush. Last year he had a lot of problems, and Cal Murphy finally decided he had had enough of the problems created by Kelly Rush. And then when Rush wanted to come back, Cal outlined what he expected of him if he was going to remain with the team.
This guy is very much, he's on a short leash, and he has to adhere to this criteria that Coach Murphy has laid out, and that's why he's still here playing, and he's a very big part of the Winnipeg defense if he can keep everything together.
Northeast Louisiana product John Heidenreich makes his way to the dressing room following the disqualification. Well, he isn't going to head off to the dressing room. He's going to remain on the sidelines for the final 16 seconds of this football game. Heidenreich has been replaced by Rob Wallow. taking over. 1st and 10. The ball at the 42 of Shreveport. And I think Keith and McCant here will simply take the final seconds off the clock by taking a knee.
Very impressive, I think, at the first half of this ball game for Shreveport. Now the matter of fact that they have the confidence that they can do a few things, run the football, play some solid defense. Now they just have to learn how to do it for a solid 60 minutes.
And Cal Murphy has to be happy about the way his team played in the second half of this football game. And Keith McCant watches the seconds tick off the clock, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers sweep their home-and-home series with Shreveport, 39-21 in Winnipeg and 38-22 here at Independence Stadium.
It really wasn't very pretty for Coach Murphy, but the fact is that his veteran team finds a way to win the game. Now you can go back for a week and you can correct any mistakes that you made today.
And most importantly, they remain tied for first place in the East with Baltimore. Scott?
Well, Don, the second half was more of what the Bombers, Cal Murphy, and their fans expected. The Pirates didn't score a point, but the Bombers managed 17 of them. Stay tuned. We'll talk to the game star when we come back to Shreveport, Louisiana.